Green is a college teacher. One of her instructors, Rosie, has been cheating on tests multiple times. One day, Ms. Green lost her patience and told Rosie, "If you tell me a lie, I will expel you from college. And if you tell me the truth, I'll still expel you. So what do you say?" What can Rosie say to prevent her withdrawal? She should say, "I am telling lies." This phrase will create a paradox because it can't be a lie and truth at the same time. Jane was performing in a singing contest in a famous concert hall. Her singing was very good and she made the judges cry. But suddenly, all the lights went down. Someone turned off the electricity in the entire building. The contest manager questioned 3 suspects. Jane's rival singer, Tilda, said, "I was visiting a coffee shop on the 7th floor when suddenly it became very dark. I had to use a flashlight on my phone to get out." Sarah, the cleaning lady, said, "I was washing the windows far away from the electrical panels." And Frank, the guard, said, "I'm so sorry, I didn't look at the security cameras because I had a personal emergency call." Who's lying? Tilda. This concert hall doesn't have a 7th floor. Peter landed in a foreign country. He opened a taxi app on his phone to get to his hotel. Unfortunately, the app didn't work. So Peter just went outside, hoping to find a driver. At the parking lot, he noticed 3 free cars. All 3 drivers were eager to give Peter a ride. Which driver should he choose? Look at the first taxi. There's a puddle of oil under this car. Probably not the safest option. As for the third car, it only has 3 wheels. So, Peter should pick the second driver. Alex is an adventurous traveler. One day, he was walking alone in the jungle and got caught in a trap. Now he's hanging on a tree tied upside down. The rope is anchored in the ground. There's a candle burning below the rope. Very soon, the rope will burn away. Also, there's a hungry tiger under the tree waiting for Alex to fall. Now, what would you suggest to help Alex survive in this difficult situation? Alex should sing the happy birthday song. The tiger will blow the candle out to celebrate, and Alex will get a chance to escape. Now, don't complain to me, I just read these off the script. Mia came home from work late at night as usual. She lives with 3 roommates. When Mia entered her bedroom, she noticed someone had stained her favorite carpet. Mia got furious and questioned her roommates. Jessica said, "That's not my fault. I've spent all day chilling in my boyfriend's house." Helen replied, "Today I entered your room only once to bring clean laundry. The carpet was okay." And Fiona said, "I haven't been to your room for ages. I studied in the library all day." Can you guess who stained the carpet? Fiona. Take a look at her hands. The color of her nail polish matches the stains on the carpet perfectly. Will has just moved to San Francisco. He needed an apartment to stay in for at least a year, so he searched online. He found 3 options and liked them all equally. Will went to check out all 3 offers one by one. After that, he found out that 2 of the 3 offers were scams. What about you? Can you see anything suspicious in these advertisements? Take a look at the sign on the second house. It says that this house will be demolished in 2 weeks. But Will was searching for long-term rent. The third apartment is on the 8th floor, but that's impossible because this building only has 7 floors. Therefore, Will should choose the first option. Rosie is walking home from her training late at night. Suddenly, she sees a sad young lady sitting at a bus stop. The lady got wet in the rain, and the buses are no longer running. Rosie feels sorry for her and says, "My home is nearby. Would you like to have a cup of hot tea?" The lady agrees. As soon as they enter her home, Rosie turns the light on. That's when she realizes that her guest is very dangerous. How? The lady's legs are covered with wolf hair. Take a look at the sky. It's a full moon. She will soon turn into a werewolf. Rosie arrives at work, so we can assume she survived the night. Unfortunately, someone locks her in the underground parking. She wanders around for a while and finds 3 ways out, but only one path is safe. Hungry tigers are hiding behind the first door. It's impossible to get through. The second door is guided by a virtual voice assistant reprogrammed to hate people. It threatens to destroy anyone who enters this door. And the third passage is filled with toxic gas that makes all mammals pass out immediately. Which door should Rosie choose? The second one. Those threats are words. At the end of the day, it's just a voice assistant. Rosie discovers an infinite supply of honey, but she only has a 1 5-gallon jar and 1 3-gallon jar. She needs to measure out exactly 4 gallons of honey, taking as few steps as possible. Can you help her out? Yep, this can be done in 6 steps. 1. Fill the 5-gallon jar fully. 2. Now pour the honey from the 5-gallon jar into the 3-gallon jar. After that, you still have 2 gallons of honey in the bigger jar. 3. Now empty the 3-gallon jar. 4. Transfer the 2 gallons of honey into the 3-gallon jar. 5. Fill up the bigger jar again. 6. And finally, transfer 1 gallon from the 5-gallon jar into the smaller jar. This way, we'll end up having 4 gallons of honey in the bigger jar. Rosie goes to a local restaurant. The manager offers her free dinner. But first, she has to solve his tricky riddle. Rosie agrees. Here's the task. You throw me out when you want to use me. And you take me in when you don't want to use me. Who am I? Rosie nails it right away. Can you solve this mystery too? The correct answer is an anchor. Now, Rosie has 26 blue socks, 13 green socks, 33 pink socks, and 12 red socks. She keeps them in her drawer. How many socks would she have to pull out in the dark to make sure she had a matching pair? The correct answer is 5. She only has 4 colors in her collection, so 5 socks will guarantee that 2 of them will be in the same color. Hey, great job. Rosie has 4 siblings: Alex, Sarah, Nina, and Willow. All 5 receive some gifts from their relatives on Christmas Day. Rosie opens 25 gifts, while her brother Alex only 24. Meanwhile, Sarah opens 8 gifts, and Nina only 1 gift. Can you predict how many gifts Willow would open? The last name in Rosie's name is Y. It's the 25th letter of the alphabet. Alex's last letter X is in the 24th place. The last letter in the name Sarah is H. It's the 8th letter of the alphabet, and so on. Similar odd logic also works for Willow. The letter W is 23rd. Therefore, she will open 23 gifts. Now, if I were Sarah, I might complain about only getting a third of the gifts her siblings get. But I'm not. Rosie is looking through her granny's pictures. Suddenly, she gets chills because she noticed a time traveler among these party guys. Can you spot this person too? This picture is from the 70s, but this guy on the left has a modern cell phone in his pocket. He's definitely not from this era.
Jennifer had an epic quarrel with her best friend Alice and decided to go hiking without her. After a long walk, she chose a place to settle down for the night. The next morning, she got out of the tent and found out that all her food supplies were gone.
Oh.
Take a look at the picture. Can you guess who stole the food? Although there are hair footprints all over the ground, these animals are too small to untie and carry away such a large bag of food. Alice followed Jennifer to prank her, but she forgot her hairband at the crime scene. Can you find a 4-leaf clover in this pattern? Here it is. Peter got tired of big city life and moved to a quiet village. He opened a small coffee shop. His place gained popularity among local farmers and tourists very quickly. But one night, someone broke into the coffee shop and robbed it. Peter interrogated 4 suspects. Dylan said he'd been out of the city that night. Leah had been cleaning her room all night. Vanessa said she'd been rehearsing a dance for the upcoming New Year's performance. And Jason had been taking care of his cattle. Who's lying? Vanessa, look at these blooming flowers in the field. It's summertime. It's too early for New Year's rehearsals. Vicky got on a bus. But suddenly, she ran out screaming, "There's a zombie in there!" Who is a zombie? It's the driver. Take a look at his arm. Fred is a fitness coach. He bought a pack of peanut butter cookies on the way to his office. He couldn't eat them inside the building since his boss, Mia, had a really bad peanut allergy. Plus, his current clients were on a sugar-free diet for a week. So, Fred took a couple of bites and hid the remaining cookies in his locker. When Fred opened the pack during the next break, it was empty. He questioned the clients. Chris said he'd been talking to his mother. Pam went out to get some fresh air. Jason helped Mia serve peanut butter sandwiches and coffee. And Kelly was busy eating her fruit salad. Who's lying? Jason. Mia has a peanut allergy. She wouldn't have come close to peanut butter sandwiches. Can you guess the word by these emojis? It's iPhone. What about this combination? It's airline. And what about these emojis? That's a coffee break. Let's try another one. It's bad luck. What about this combination? A starfish. What about these emojis? Cornbread. How about these 2 emojis? Right, that's sunlight. Let's try another one. Sunglasses. Can you find a snowman among these pandas? Here it is. Can you find a rabbit among all these cats? This little guy over here. Someone robbed a bank last night. Its manager doesn't want the clients to know about it, so he hasn't told any details to the press yet. The police have found 3 suspects. All of them have been previously accused of similar robberies. The police officer asked, "What were you doing when the robbery happened?" Stacy claimed she'd gone to bed at 11 p.m. Dan said, "I was bowling with my friends between 1 and 2 a.m. Ryan said he had spent the whole night in a hospital with his granny. Who robbed the bank? It was Dan. The police officer didn't mention when exactly the robbery had happened. Then how did he know it? Kelly was walking alone in the forest. She found a picturesque spot and began to record a dance for her TikTok, but suddenly she fell into a cave. Kelly looked around and noticed 4 doors. There were hungry lions behind the first door. Venomous insects were hiding behind the second door. Behind the third door, there was a tunnel that was on fire. And there were live wires behind the fourth door. Which way is safe? The fourth door is the safest. There's enough space for Kelly to crawl under the wires. Can you find a panda among these people? It's over there. Miss Green recently got the job of a college teacher. She decided to start her first class with a small test. The woman watched her students during the test very attentively and noticed that 3 of them were cheating. Who? Look at this guy's knee. And this young lady is holding a book under her desk. And this young man over here has a bottle with the answers written on it. Can you find the odd emoji? Something is wrong with this guy's teeth. Harry woke up in a creepy abandoned hospital. He searched the area and only found an old cart. He went further and saw 4 doors, but there were dangers lurking behind each of these doors. Angry werewolves were waiting behind the first one. The floor behind the second door was all covered with toxic acid. There was a wicked witch behind the third door, and there was a fire blazing behind the fourth door. What should Harry do? Harry should choose the second door and use the cart to get to safety. Can you find the odd fish? Here it is. Gemma decided to follow her dreams and move to a cute house in a small village. She found several boxes in the basement and organized a garage sale to sell that stuff. Gemma put up an ad, everything for $1. Leah bought an old chess set, Peter purchased a mirror, and Daniel bought an old jewelry box. When they left, Gemma's neighbor came over and told her that she'd made a mistake. She had just sold a very expensive thing for a song. What item did she mean? Not the chess set because it's made of plastic, and not the mirror because it's cracked. She meant the jewelry box. Look at how Daniel is carrying it. The thing's heavy and probably filled with expensive stuff. Can you find the odd emoji? Here it is. Peter and Wendy had a picnic in a beautiful park. Suddenly, it started raining and they hid in their car. That's when Wendy noticed she had left her phone outside. Peter returned to the picnic spot but found no phone. Luckily, the thief couldn't get far. So, Peter entered the nearest cafe to check the customers. He saw 3 people inside. The guy immediately figured out who had taken the phone. Can you guess who the thief is? It's the second guy. He's the only one with wet hair and clothes. On his birthday, Jason invited 3 friends on a hiking trip. They found a beautiful wild beach and decided to stay there for the night. In an hour, one of Jason's friends disappeared. They separated to search for him, and the other 2 friends also vanished. Can you guess what happened? Jason's friends decided to prank him. They're waiting for him with a birthday cake on a boat. Mary had just returned from a 2-day business trip. She's starving, so she rushes to the kitchen. She opens the fridge to get some snacks. Can you help Mary throw away spoiled food? This apple has gone bad. Some weird loud sounds woke Emily in the middle of the night. She ran to her roommates' bedrooms to check on them. Both Mia and Sam were sound asleep. In the morning, Emily found out that their house had been robbed. Mia said that she'd been sleeping and hadn't heard anything suspicious. Sam said that he had returned from a party very late and had fallen asleep immediately. Can you guess what happened? The robber entered the house through Sam's window and pretended to be Sam when Emily came to check on her roommate. And the real Sam returned from the party way later that night. Can you figure out who this dog belongs to? The dog's owner is the woman in the middle. She's the only one who's not trying to pet the dog. What is the sum of these numbers? Four plus 17 plus 13 equals 34. George was returning home after a long day at work. He was walking through the park when somebody pushed him. He woke up in a well. The walls were too slippery to climb out of it, and he couldn't reach the bucket. Luckily, the guy found the solution. Can you guess how George escaped? He took off his shoes and threw them back into the bucket. The added weight brought the bucket down, and George used it to climb out of the well and escape. An old king doesn't have an heir, but he still has to choose a successor to take care of the country. So he gathered all young men and women in his kingdom and gave each of them a seed. The person who will grow the largest plant will inherit the throne, he said. 3 months later, all the participants came back to the palace to show their plants. After the king looked at them, he chose a young lady with an empty pot. Why did he pick her? The king gave the participants fake seeds. The woman was the only honest person who didn't try to cheat. There are 3 sticks. Can you make 4 out of them without breaking any stick? Here you go. A man was doing some repairs and accidentally fell from the roof of a 12-story building. He was not wearing a parachute, but he still survived the fall. How? He landed on a balcony on the 11th floor. Mr. Tyler is a college professor. He teaches history, and his students like his classes very much. But one day, they decided to surprise Mr. Tyler and put on mummy costumes before his class. When Mr. Tyler saw them, he yells and runs away. Why? This guy over there is a real mummy. He's levitating and there's flies around him.
Welcome to Brightside U. You've got one more final before break, all riddles. Jot down your answers and we'll see what your score means at the end of the video. The university president's looking nervous. He gets to his office and opens the door. It's the end of the semester and all the students are about to take their finals, except Intro to Geography. The teacher had to postpone that final for some reason. When he sits at his desk, he discovers that someone's been rummaging through his papers. They've stolen the physics final. How did they get in if the door and windows were closed? I'll give you 7 seconds for this one. That ventilation panel above the president's desk, it's been moved. Someone crawled all the way through there. Impressive. But who did it? To answer that, you need to solve a bunch of other riddles first. Then maybe you'll figure out the mystery at the end of the video. The president leaves his office and walks down the hall. There's a loud crack, and the power goes out all over the building. Someone must have flipped all the fuses. He heads down to the break room to see what's up. I mean, he's the president after all. Yep, someone's been messing around down here. There's 3 suspects in the room. The cleaner says somebody turned off the generator when he came in to clean. Rachel's a new transfer student. She says she totally got lost and ended up in here by accident. Simon's a junior. He has his phone in his hand. Says he was playing one of those video games where you have to find stuff. Which one of them shut off the power? Your 7 seconds starts now. It was Rachel. It's the end of the semester. She wouldn't have transferred right before finals. But why did she do it? Maybe she wanted to disrupt the physics final. He turns the power back on. Ugh, hungry. Probably a good time to grab a quick snack. When he gets to the cafeteria, there's a new problem waiting for him. Someone emptied a whole bag of sugar into a huge pot of soup. Which student was it? You have 7 seconds. All the suspects have bowls of soup in front of them, but one of them doesn't have a spoon, just a fork. He was never going to eat the soup. He knew it would taste disgusting. Just as the president finishes up his sandwich, he gets a text. It's from a professor. He needs help in his office ASAP. In the office are 3 students, standing around and looking guilty. The professor claims one of them graffitied the painting on his wall. Which one did it? You've got 7 seconds to figure it out. It's that one. She's covering her hands. There's probably some paint on her fingers that she's trying to hide from you. Next stop, the infamous physics exam. The president heads over to the exam room. Everything's quiet in there. Looks okay. All the students have their heads down, staring at their papers. But someone's cheating. The president can sense it somehow. Help him find the sneaky student. 7 seconds to scan the room. It's the guy with his legs crossed. Clever. He wrote the answers on his calf muscle. But where did he even get those answers? After a brief shakedown, he spills the beans. He got them from a friend. That hassle's over. Time for a coffee and a snack. A big one. But just then, a piercing beep smashes through the silence. The fire alarm! Oh, come on. Students file out of their classrooms, and the entire university has to be evacuated. The students are standing outside, looking at the building. No fire, no smoke even. The president gets a text from the alarm company. The alarm was triggered by a person, not a smoke detector. The president looks around. Time to round up the usual 4 suspects. Matt says he was in the bathroom when the alarm came on. Julia was taking the geography final. Clark and Lex were studying strange green meteorites together in the science lab. Which one of them is lying? You have 7 seconds starting now. It was Julia. The geography teacher postponed the final, remember? Why would she lie unless she had something to hide? Today's not really his day. Someone cut down a tree right in the middle of the quad. The caretaker saw 4 students hanging out under the tree this morning, and now it's gone. Time to interview the suspects. Emily says she's been in the library all day. Loads of people saw her. Sam claims he was in the cafeteria having some soup. Lewis was in the physics final. And Michael says he's been hitting the weights all day, trying to get buff for the beach. Who cut down the tree? Your 7 seconds starts now. It was obviously Sam. He said he was having some soup, but remember, if he had really been in the cafeteria, he would have mentioned the whole sugar thing. Plus, the president was in there and didn't see him. He's lying. On to the biology final. They've got a new teacher who's giving a unique type of final. The president sneaks in the back of the room. The teacher explains that she gave her students ficus seeds at the beginning of the semester. Whoever has the most beautiful ficus plant will get the highest grade. It's time to present the results. The students start to file into the classroom. Half of them are holding pots with beautiful green ficus trees. The other half have pots filled with plain old earth. No leaves, no nothing. The teacher says the students with empty pots all get an A. Why did the teacher do that? Solve this mystery in 7 seconds. Go! At the beginning of the semester, she gave everyone fake ficus seeds. The students who showed up with full-blooming plants must have bought a full-grown plant and stuck it in the pot. Ha! Busted! Last final of the day, philosophy. The young teacher is in there, waiting for all the students to take their seats. After that, he puts a bust of an ancient Greek philosopher on the table. The teacher says, "Write a short essay on the following topic: why this bust doesn't exist. The student with the most convincing argument gets an A, while everyone else gets a C." Huh, tough teacher. After an hour, the students hand in their papers. Most of them filled up the front and back, but one student only wrote 2 words, and she got the A. What did she write? I'll give you 7 seconds to figure it out. She wrote, "What bust?" The president heads outside again, this time for the parking lot. What? Someone took the tire right off of his car. How's he gonna get home? He still has a spare tire in his trunk, but the thieves took the bolts too. All 4 of them. What can he do? You have 7 seconds to come up with a plan. He needs to unscrew one bolt from each of the other 3 tires and attach them to the spare. Each tire now has 3 bolts. That'll be enough to get to the nearest service station. What an intense day. The president's ready to kick back for a few, but he gets another urgent text. There's broken glass all over the quad. Someone broke a window up there. The only 3 people around are a cook, a gardener, and a student. The cook says he's been boiling up a new soup for the last hour, since someone put sugar in the last one. The gardener admits he was up in a tree cutting branches. He saw a student break the glass. The student says he was studying in the library. I'll give you 7 seconds to figure out who's lying. The gardener's lying. How could he have been up in the tree? It had already been stolen. He broke the glass, probably just by accident. The day's finally over. The president heads over for the best tradition on campus, the post-finals party. It's in the basketball arena. There are lights, decorations, and even a DJ. Everyone's dressed up, looking relieved. Finals are over. The party goes all night, but around 4 a.m., someone accidentally slams the doors too hard, and it triggers the automatic locks. Everyone's trapped. The president can be the hero of the party. He just needs to find a way out, grab the spare keys from his office, and open the door from the outside. But how? One of the students, Eric, says he knows how to get out of the gym through a vent. The president looks at him, and his face goes red with anger. Why? Last riddle, 7 seconds. You can do it. Eric just gave himself away. He's obviously been in the ventilation shafts before, so it was probably him who stole the physics final. How did you do? Count up your correct answers, and let's see how you fared on your final exam. 0 to 3 points. Looks like you'll need to sign up for some classes over break. Keep watching riddle videos. You'll get better in no time. 4 to 7 points. Solid B+, but I'm sure you can do better next time. 8 to 12 points. You nailed that final. Leave your books in your locker and enjoy your well-deserved vacation.
Okay, I'll show you 2 profiles. Your task is to guess which of the 2 is fake. Let's start. Which profile is fake? It must be the left one. The girl is only 13 years old. She can't be doing her PhD. What about these 2? The person on the right was born on February 29. It's fine, this date does exist, but there was no February 29th in 1985 because it only occurs every 4 years. So the profile on the right must be fake. The left profile is fake. Pilots are supposed to have perfect vision, so the guy is probably lying about something. Take a good look at these profiles. Okay, Panem and Narnia are two fictional places, so I'd say the left profile is a fake one. What can you say about these two? Well, as far as I know, 14-year-olds can't get married in Canada, so the profile on the right is fake. Now, I'll show you some photos. Your task is to guess what's wrong with them. Let's begin. Here's the first one for you. Look, this train is transporting a modern car, but it's the Wild West. There were no cars back then. Can you tell what's wrong here? It's medieval times, but look, there's a 10-story building in the background. What about this picture? Do you see anything strange? The woman is wearing sneakers. Now look closely. What seems odd here? This woman has a modern camera. I don't think people had them back then. What do you think about this photo? The mountain in the background is green. There's no snow. Keep going. What's wrong here? Look, that guy in the back, he's wearing sneakers. Not the best thing to be wearing to a ball. Plus, this kind of footwear didn't exist back then. Be very attentive. Can you spot an odd detail here? This guy has 3 hands. How handy. Ryan had a crush on a girl from his school, Amelia. Once, he got a note from her saying that she liked him, so Ryan decided to write her back and ask her to prom. Unfortunately, he didn't remember which desk was Amelia's. There were 2 possibilities. Can you tell which desk is the one he needs? If you remember, the note was written in green ink. There's a similar green pen lying on the desk on the right, so this is most likely Amelia's desk. One Monday morning, a big sum of money went missing from the accountant's safe. 3 people were in the office at that time. Magnolia, the accountant, said she'd left for several minutes to go to the bathroom. Walker, a software manager, said he'd gone out for lunch and hadn't seen anything. Dawson, a cleaning man, said he had been cleaning the 2nd floor at the time. Can you figure out who's lying? It's Walker. He said he had been on his lunch break, but it was still morning at that time. Tessa works in a clothing store in the suburbs. She doesn't usually have many customers. One day, she only had 3. The first person got a belt and a purse, the second got a dress, and the third customer got a hat. One of them was a criminal, and Tessa reported them to the police. Who is the criminal, and how did the girl understand it? The third customer gave her a $1,000 bill, and such bills don't exist. During her winter vacation, Serena went to the spookiest house in the neighborhood by herself. That was a mistake, because once she entered, the door got locked behind her. She saw 3 ways out. Behind the first door, there was a huge venomous spider. Behind the second door, there was a brick wall. Behind the third door, there was a huge lake. Which way should she opt for? She should take the third way. It's winter, and the lake is frozen. Serena told her friends what had happened to her. But no one believed her. The next day, Leslie went to that house too. The same thing happened. The door got locked and the girl saw 3 dangerous ways out. A fire was raging behind the first door. Behind the second door, there was an angry ghost. If she opened the third door, a huge chunk of glass would fall down on her head. Which way should Leslie choose? Well, if I were her, I'd choose the second way. Ghosts, even angry ones, can't physically harm you. They can only freak you out. Now, look at the pictures I'll show you and try to find the odd image. Yep, it's right here. Another one for you. Be very attentive. Look, here it is. Now, let's make it harder. Here's a picture of many plants. Can you find 2 that are the same? Here's one. Here's the other. Can you find 2 similar images here? Look, here they are. Okay, now I have a maze for you. Can you find a way out? Right, that was amazing. Here's another puzzle for you. Help A find her way to her best friend B. That's how she can do it. And another maze, the hardest one so far. Can you help the dog find its favorite plush toy? Here it is. Kai and Nate went camping in the woods. Now, look, Kai is climbing a tree and Nate is picking up some firewood for the campfire. Who's in danger? Nate. A bear is approaching him. The guy should be very careful. Ella and Grace are late for school, so they're taking a shortcut. Ella chose to go through the forest, and Grace decided to go across a frozen lake. Who is in danger? Grace. The ice on the lake is melting. There are cracks over there. Pierce's daughter and Andre's son came back home after studying at their friend's house. Neither of the parents got suspicious, but someone's kid had been to a party instead of studying. Whose kid was it? Andre's. Her son has a lipstick stain on the collar of his polo shirt. I'm guessing that was courtesy of Pierce's daughter. Gabriella and Emily are best friends. One of them is pregnant, and the other one just pretends to be pregnant to get some perks. Can you figure out which girl is faking? I'd say it's Gabriella. Look, she's wearing really high heels, so she's probably not afraid of slipping and falling. If she was pregnant, she'd be more careful, you'd think. One day, Los Angeles police were warned that the infamous robber Samuel had left Spain and taken a plane to Los Angeles. The only detail the police knew was that the criminal had a beard. At the airport, they stopped a group of people who had just arrived from different countries. The detectives noticed 3 bearded men and interrogated them. The first guy said that he'd come from London. The second one said he'd arrived from Spain, but his name was Cristiano. The third man said he'd come from Poland to have a vacation. The detectives didn't even need to check their plane tickets to figure out who the robber was. Who do you think the criminal is? It must be the man who said he'd come from Poland. He's supposed to be on vacation, but he doesn't have any luggage with him. Leela called the police and reported that she had been robbed. She said that she had been in a restaurant's bathroom, fixing her makeup. Suddenly, someone came up to her and hit her on the head. The person had approached her from behind. That's why she didn't see what they looked like. But the police sent the woman home and refused to file the report. Why? The woman said she'd been fixing her makeup. Then she had to be looking in the mirror. If someone had tried to approach her from behind, she would have seen that person. But she said she hadn't. She must have made up the whole story. Several girls went missing in a small town. The police only managed to find them half a year after the first one had disappeared. When officers entered the place, they saw just 3 girls. They all said they had been locked in a small room and had never left it. The detectives knew that one of them was the kidnapper. The first girl, Eleanor, said she'd spent around a half a year there. The second girl, Vera, said she had been confined there for 2 months. The third girl, Sienna, said she had been there just a week. Can you guess who's lying? It must be Vera. Look, both Vera and Sienna have a pretty manicure. It's okay for Sienna because she's only spent a week there, but Vera's manicure would be all messed up after being locked for 2 months.
Are you ready for a new detective journey? Then buckle your seatbelts and let's go. Mary was walking through the park when she spotted a hungry kitten. The woman decided to share her snack with the animal. Unfortunately, there was a stream between her and the kitty. She squatted down to attract the cat's attention and showed it the food. The animal was next to her in no time. There was no bridge over the stream, and still, the cat wasn't wet. How is it possible? It happened in the winter and the stream was frozen. In a lake, there is a patch of lily pads. Every day, the patch doubles in size. If it takes 48 days for the patch to cover the entire lake, how long will it take for the patch to cover half the lake? The patch doubles in size every day. So on the 47th day, the patch will be half the size it is on the 48th day. You are in a place called Bobby's World, and there is only one law there. There is a mirror, but no reflection. There is pizza with cheese, but not with ham. There is pepper, but no salt. There is a door, yet no entrance or exit. What is the law in this strange world? Everything in Bobby's World must contain double letters in its name. Kenneth was hungry. He found a nice diner that served burgers and bought one. After a waiter brought him his order, Kenneth went to the bathroom to wash his hands. But when he came back, his burger was gone. The guy looked around the diner and understood who had taken his lunch. Can you figure it out? It's the young woman with a dog sitting at her feet and sniffing the air. If she was just drinking coffee, which is what she's pretending to do, the dog wouldn't be so interested in her. Look at these two guys. One is big and burly, and the other is short and thin. They're in a cafe, drinking identical drinks. The shorter one gulps his drink down in one go and leaves. The other man sips his drink slowly. Then he falls to the floor and is taken to a hospital. Can you explain why it happened if they had the same drinks? The drinks contained poisoned ice cubes. The man who enjoyed his drink gave these ice cubes time to melt and release the poison, while the other man didn't. An Arab sheikh told his two sons that they had to race their camels to a distant city to see who would inherit his fortune. The one whose camel arrived last would win. After wandering aimlessly for days, the brothers asked a wise man for advice. After listening to his opinion, they jumped on the camels and raced as fast as they could to their destination. What did the man tell them? The wise man told them to switch their camels. Look at these two guys. They're wearing similar clothes.
Yeah.
Both holding coffee cups. And in general, seem to be perfectly okay. But one of them is a werewolf in disguise. Which one? Look at the guy on the right. There are strange marks on the rim of his cup. Were they left by his fangs? Also, his pupils are a bit elongated.
Oh.
And there is a paw print design on the plastic bag he's holding. Is it a special store for werewolves? A rich entrepreneur disappeared from his office. The only thing he left behind was a note with the numbers 6, 4, 9, 10, and 11, and a calendar. The police have 5 suspects. All of them, the businessman's acquaintances. James, Kevin, Carol, Jason, and Laura. Who knows something about the man's disappearance? Jason. The numbers mean months of the year, and the first letters of these months make up his name, Jason. A furious traveler at the airport claimed the contents of his baggage had disappeared. When I got my suitcase, it was empty. I want you to compensate for what I've lost. After checking the passenger's info, airport security found out that he had indeed left London with a heavy suitcase, and now his bag was empty and a bit wet. The whole situation was suspicious. Can you figure out what happened? The passenger left London with a suitcase full of ice. During the flight, the ice melted, and the man demanded compensation for the lost belongings. Matthew bought a new smartphone and a phone case. He paid $510. The gadget cost $500 more than the case. How much did Matthew pay for the phone? He paid $505. Last night, on a full moon, several people disappeared in the city. Locals believe that the kidnapper was a werewolf, and you are invited to investigate this case. There are 3 suspects, Jack, Levi, and Luke, but all of them have alibis. Jack was walking with his girlfriend near the river. Levi was choosing a silver ring for himself in the mall. And Luke, who is a museum guard, had a night shift at work. Which guy is guilty? Jack was walking under a full moon and didn't turn into a werewolf. Levi wasn't afraid to put on silver rings. The werewolf and potential kidnapper is Luke. Detective Black's assistant, Josh, was late for work. When he arrived, he told his boss the following story. I was driving along the highway when I saw an unconscious man lying on the left side of the road. I picked him up and took him to the nearest hospital. Finally, he came to his senses. He told me he had been pushed out of a moving vehicle, but the bag with all his money and documents was left inside. Strangely, Detective Black told Josh that the man had lied to him. How did he figure it out? If the man had indeed been pushed out of the car, he would have been lying on the right side of the road, not the left one. Criminals caught 3 men and locked them in a basement with only one window, high above the floor. Oh, no. The men decided that at least one of them needed to escape and warn the police. The men stood on each other's shoulders, but the one on the top still couldn't reach the window. But then they did something, and one of them managed to escape. Can you figure out what they did? The tallest of them climbed on the top, and since, proportionally, this man also had longer arms, he managed to reach the window. You find yourself in a room with no windows. There are 3 doors leading out of the room. Suddenly, a big screen on the wall lights up. You read, "Behind each of these doors there is some danger. The first door leads to a scorching hot desert. Several steps, and the sun will burn you. Behind the second door, there is a hungry alligator that hasn't eaten for a year. And the third door hides a pool with icy water. To get to freedom, you'll have to swim across it. Which door should you choose to survive?" Alligators can indeed go without food for up to 3 years, which means that the creature behind the second door is hungry and dangerous. Freezing water can cause cold shock in an unprepared swimmer. That's why you should choose the first door. You just need to wait for the sun to go down and walk through the desert.
Oh, yes.
James came to a cafe to drink coffee. But when a waitress brought him a cup, the man found a fly in his drink. He called the waitress and told her to bring him another coffee. She did. But when James took a sip from his cup, he got really angry and asked to call a manager. He complained that the waitress had brought him the same coffee. How did he understand it? The new coffee was already sweet because James had already put sugar in his first cup before finding the fly.
Susan found out that her favorite pop band was playing a private concert for VIP clients in a luxurious club. She decided to sneak inside through the back door. But, unfortunately, Susan came across a strict guard behind the door. He refused to let Susan inside without a password. But, luckily for her, there was a hint on the guard's t-shirt. The hint was to infinity plus BD. Susan deciphered the hint and was allowed to enter. Can you guess what the password was? It was to infinity and beyond. After the concert, Susan met up with her friend Bobby. Bobby was an expert in ghost activity. He invited Susan to go ghost hunting to a creepy old hotel. Of course, Bobby had state-of-the-art equipment. Once they arrived at the hotel, his equipment indicated there was strong paranormal activity going on. It looked like the ghost had a sense of humor and wanted to play hide-and-seek with them before it revealed itself. It led Bobby and Susan into a room with 4 doors. Each door had an inscription on it with some clues. The sign on door A said, "It's behind B or C." The sign on door B claimed, "It's behind A or D." Door C said, "It's in here." And door D stated, "The ghost isn't here." Bobby and Susan looked very confused until a note appeared next to their feet. It said, 3 of the inscriptions are false and 1 is true. Can you guess which door leads to the ghost? Let's see how this works. If the ghost was behind door A, then both statements B and D would be true. If it was behind door B, then both A and D would be true. If the ghost was behind door C, then A, C, and D would be all true. But if the ghost was behind door D, then the statements on all the doors would be false, except for that on door B. This fits the rules, so the ghost must be behind door D. The next morning, Bobby called Susan again, saying that he had a surprise. He had won 2 tickets to Susan's favorite theme park and asked her if she wanted to go. Before she answered, though, Bobby warned her that she had to crack a very difficult riddle. Only then would he give her a ticket. She agreed. For a school challenge, 100 students received a number between 1 and 100. Each student was instructed to go inside a classroom that had exactly 100 boxes randomly numbered from 1 to 100. Inside each box, there was a slip of paper with a random number between 1 and 100 on it. Now, each student needed to enter the classroom on their own and find the box that contained the slip of paper with their number on it. But in order to do so, each of them was only allowed to open a maximum of 50 boxes. They were instructed to leave the room exactly as they found it, and they weren't allowed to communicate with other students once they'd left the room. If all of the students managed to find their numbers inside the boxes, they would each get $100. But if one of them wasn't able to find their number, none of them would be able to win the prize. Bobby asked Susan if she knew the best strategy for all of the students to find their numbers and win the prize. After a few hours, Susan called Bobby with the answer. She managed to figure out the riddle. Can you guess what she answered? This riddle isn't obvious, but let's see how it works. If each student searched for their numbers randomly, they would each have a 50% chance of finding the box with their number inside. This is because there were 100 boxes and they were allowed to look inside 50 of them. However, the probability of all of them finding their own number following this random strategy is absurdly small. So, to increase their chances of collectively finding their numbers, they would need a better approach. The students could use something called the loop strategy. After entering the classroom, they should go directly toward the box that has their number on top of it. The number inside probably won't be their number, but that's okay. They should check the number inside the box and go look for the box with that same number on top of it, and so on and so forth. They should keep doing this until they find the paper with their number on it. This strategy means there's more than a 30% chance of the students finding their numbers and winning the prize. It's not a huge probability, but hey, at least they'll have fun trying to figure it out. One afternoon, Susan found her father Frank in the living room. Frank was a private investigator and he had just received a message revealing the address of the town's most dangerous criminal, Dirty Jack. He decided to go check the area, even though he didn't know what the criminal looked like. The address turned out to be an old warehouse. When he busted inside, he found 4 people sitting at a table. They were a carpenter, a truck driver, a mechanic, and a firefighter. Without any hesitation, Frank arrested the firefighter. How did he know it was the criminal? The firefighter was the only man in the room. The rest of the people were women. Bobby and Susan decided to go grab a cup of coffee. But when their orders arrived, Bobby's drink came with a fly in it. He called the waiter and asked him to change his cup. The waiter brought him another cup of coffee, but 2 seconds later, Bobby called the waiter again and said, "Hey, that's the same cup." How did he know? Because Bobby had already put sugar in his coffee. And when he tasted the new drink, it already had sugar in it. Susan and her family went on vacation to their country house, but unfortunately, it was raining heavily. It kept raining for 13 days. When it rained in the morning, the afternoon was beautiful and clear. And when it rained in the afternoon, the next day was blessed with a clear, sunny morning. Overall, Susan's family experienced 11 nice mornings and 12 nice afternoons. Can you find out the total number of days they spent in the country house? The total number is 18 days. Here's how you can figure it out. Let's call clear afternoons X, clear mornings Y, and periods of time with no rain O. This equation represents the number of days with rain, X plus Y equals 13. And here are the days with clear mornings, Y plus O equals 11. And this equation represents the days with clear afternoons, X plus O equals 12. If we solve these 3 equations, we'll learn that X equals 7, Y equals 6, and O equals 5. So the total number of days is 18. Bobby started his morning by jogging in the park near his house. When he returned, he got to know some very unpleasant news. Someone had stolen his car. He questioned 3 of his neighbors. Henry said, "I've been playing video games for the past 12 hours and haven't left my basement." Rosie said, "I'm a gardener. I've been planting daisies in the public area all morning, and I think I saw a suspicious man who opened the car using a knife." Jack said, "I saw your car when I went out for groceries, but when I returned home, it was gone." Who's lying? Rosie. She said she planted daisies, but look, there are only rose bushes in this area. One day, Susan found a box on her desk with a note that read, "What can run but never walks, has a mouth but never speaks, has a head but never weeps, has a bed but never sleeps." Can you decipher this riddle? The correct answer is a river.
So, take a look at these 2 girls. Can you tell which one has a boyfriend? That's the girl on the left. Look, there's someone's tie in the background. Now take a look at these girls in a cafe. Who's having a date and who came alone? The girl on the right has 2 sets of dishes, so she's with someone. Jake got in a car accident and lost his memory. He was a popular guy in school, and every girl wanted to date him. Since Jake couldn't remember anyone, some reckless girls decided to take their chance. On Monday, 3 girls, Emerson, Coco, and Geneva, visited him. Each of them said she was his girlfriend. Can you tell who his real girlfriend is? Take a closer look at Jake's shoulder. He has a tattoo saying J plus G. These must be the first letters of his and his girlfriend's names. So his real girlfriend is Geneva. Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. She tried to find her way back home, but instead she stumbled across a witch's house. She pet the cat and asked the witch to take her home. The witch was busy cleaning the house, and she had a riddle for Esme.
So, I have 2 types of pet insects, spiders and flies. I have 32 spiders, and flies make up 50% of my pet insect population. How many flies do I have?
Esme solved the riddle. Can you? If there are just 2 types and flies make up 50%, then spiders make the other 50%. There are 32 spiders, so there are 32 flies too. Lovely. Right before a restaurant was about to open, someone stole all the money from the office. A detective arrived for interrogation. A cook said that he was working hard and didn't have time to walk or gaze around, so he didn't see anything. The security guy said that he was in the bathroom and didn't steal anything. The waiter said he remembered seeing one visitor heading to the office. Somehow he ignored it and didn't stop them. The waiter got arrested for stealing the money. Why? The restaurant was yet closed, and there couldn't be any visitors. Kennedy woke up in some dungeon. She tried to escape, but the door was locked. All of a sudden, a clock appeared and started ticking. It said that there would be an explosion in half a minute if she didn't crack the code. It was just one number, but the trick was that Kennedy only had 2 attempts. Luckily, there was a hint. Kennedy tried 60, but it didn't work. What must be her second guess? Remember the clock? When an hour hand points at 1, it means 5 minutes. When it points at 2, 10 minutes, and so on. So 12 equals 0. One rainy evening, Poppy drove to her boyfriend's neighborhood to return his hoodie. She walked in the house for a couple of minutes and forgot to lock the car. When she returned, she called the police because her laptop had been stolen from the back seat. The detective said that the girl had lied. Why? Poppy has a 2-door car. There's no back seat in her automobile. Ms. Brown, Miss White, and Mr. Green are best friends who met up at a restaurant to celebrate their college graduation. Ms. White suddenly noticed one fun fact and said, "Look, we're all wearing our colors, but no one wears their color." "Yeah, Virginia White, you're right," responded the girl in a green dress. Can you tell who is who? So, Ms. White can only be wearing a green or a brown dress. Since a girl in a green dress responded to her, Virginia White is wearing a brown dress. This leaves us with the fact that the girl in the green dress must be Miss Brown, and the girl in the white dress must be Ms. Green. Madeline wanted to make her dad the best present for his birthday. The problem was that she had 0 ideas. She decided to sneak into her dad's computer and see what he has saved in his online shopping cart. The computer required a password, and Madeline didn't know it. Can you help her figure it out? Look at the desk. There's a note, and it has quite a lot of typos. It could be done on purpose. Find every typo and put them together. O in laundry, extra L in school, I in clean, C in basement, and V in answer. So the password is OLICV. Ned works in a club, and his job is to check people's IDs and to not let any suspicious people in. Take a look at these 3 ID cards and figure out who wasn't supposed to enter the club. So, here's the first one. She seems fine, let her in. What do you say about this girl? Don't let her in. The month and date are flipped. She must have a fake ID. Bye, girl. Okay, next. Look, in or out? Look, the guy in the photo has a tattoo on his neck, but in reality, he doesn't have one. That's suspicious. Don't let him in. Okay, here's the next guest. He seems fine to me. And this girl? She seems alright. Green light. Okay, another one. In or out? Look, there's a typo in birth. Official documents don't have any typos, so this ID must be fake. I wouldn't let her in. Melody and Belle are sisters. Melody has cool clothes, and Belle always borrows something from her without permission. One day, Melody was going to a party and couldn't find her favorite top. She knocked on her sister's door. Belle opened the door, but saw it was her sister and shut it. In a couple of seconds, Melody broke into the room and started searching for the top. But she didn't find it anywhere and had to leave. On her way out, she remembered something and managed to find it. Where? Melody remembered that when Belle opened the door, she had her hoodie unzipped. After she shut the door, Belle zipped it. She was wearing the top. Atlas was wandering in a forest and came across a huge mansion. He walked in, and the doors behind him got locked. There were 3 ways out. Behind the first door, there was a room with poisonous gas that made your skin melt. Behind the second door, there was a hungry wolf. Behind the third door, there was a window, but there was no ladder. How can Atlas escape safely? He should pick the third door. He just walked in, so he's on the first floor. He won't need a ladder to get out of the window safely. Mr. Mason didn't really like a huge tree growing by his neighbor's house because it hid the sun. He was super happy when the tree was no more one day after a raging storm at night. Still, his neighbor called the police and reported Mr. Mason for cutting the tree on purpose. Mr. Mason denied doing it. Who is right? If it were the storm that broke the tree, the cut would be messy, but the tree is perfectly sawn off, so it's some person's work. Maybe not Mr. Mason, but definitely not the storm. Kaya likes having fun, so she decided that she would only tell the truth on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays and lie on all other days. So one day she said, "Tomorrow I will tell the truth." What day did Kaya say it? If Kaya says it on one of the days she tells the truth, then she will lie because she lies the next day. So she said it on a day she lies. And the next day, she must lie too because she lied about telling the truth. The only case when she can lie 2 days in a row is Saturday and Sunday. So she must have said it on Saturday. Enola got poisoned after school. A detective interrogated the classmates, and one girl said she saw another girl, Bethany, adding something to Enola's water bottle. No one else saw it. Bethany said that she had been in a cafe after school, and her boyfriend confirmed that. The cafe's employee said that she indeed had seen Bethany and her boyfriend. She even showed a picture from the security camera. Still, Bethany was arrested for poisoning Enola. Why? Take a look at the picture of Bethany. She has a birthmark on her left cheek. But the girl on the security camera who was in the cafe with Bethany's boyfriend didn't have it. It turns out she had a twin sister who lied for her. Kara is an archaeologist who explores ancient caves. So she got trapped in one of them. She found another way, but she was on the bottom of a 45-foot cave. Kara's only option was to climb up. Every day, she could climb up 15 feet, and during the night, she would slip 5 feet down. How many days will it take her to get out? Four. In the evening of the first day, Kara will be 15 feet up, but in the morning of the second day, she'll be at 10 feet. In the morning of the third day, she'll be 20 feet up, and in the morning of the fourth day, she'll be 30 feet up. Then, by the end of the day, she'll make the remaining 15 feet and get out. Mrs. Lawrence grounded her daughter Madison for bad grades. She worked night shifts and had to leave for work. The night was warm and bright. Just like Mrs. Lawrence expected, when she returned home, she knew that Madison had sneaked out at night for a party. How did she understand it? If you paid attention, you could notice that the car was parked differently when Mrs. Lawrence was leaving the house. This means that Madison used it at night. The little sneak.
Rose, Lily, and Jasmine enter a flower shop on Mother's Day to buy some flowers for their moms. One of them buys lilies, the second one, roses, and the third one, jasmines. "It's funny," said the lady with roses. "We bought roses, jasmines, and lilies, but none of us bought the flowers matching her name." Lily replies, "Whoa, you're right." Can you guess which kind of flowers each of the girls bought? We know that the lady who bought the roses isn't Rose, and she's not Lily either, because Lily replied to her words. So Jasmine bought roses, Rose bought lilies, and Lily bought jasmines. Bob also bought some flowers for his wife. All of the flowers he has are orchids, except 2. All of the flowers he has are hibiscuses, except 2. And all of the flowers he has are roses, except 2. Can you guess how many flowers Bob has? Bob purchased only 2 flowers, neither of which are orchids, hibiscuses, or roses. At the end of his shift, the barista checks a tip jar. There are 5 coins inside the jar. 5 people take these 5 coins home. However, 1 coin is still left in the jar. How can this be possible? Simple. The last person took the jar along with the coin. Therefore, 1 coin still remains in the jar. 3 best friends participate in a bicycle race, but one of them is cheating. Can you guess who? The person in the middle. She rides an electric bike. 4 people wake up on a deserted island. In a while, they get really hungry and go for a walk to find some food. Amy finds a bush with berries. Peter finds a closed can of beans. Fred finds this beautiful apple tree. And Nina discovers a hive full of honey. Only one of these options is safe. Can you decide which one? A creepy cobra is hiding in the bush. The beans expired 10 years ago. It's not safe to take honey from the hive without a protective suit. So, apples are the safest option. It has 13 hearts, yet it's never alive. What is it? A pack of cards. I have 3 eyes and all are in a straight line. When my red eye opens, everything freezes. What am I? I'm a stoplight. I'm made of wood, but you can't saw me down. What am I? I'm sawdust. Wendy is trapped in a creepy castle. It has only 2 possible exits. The first door leads to a room constructed from magnifying glass. The blazing hot sun instantly fries anyone who enters. And there's a fire-breathing dragon waiting behind the second door. Can you help Wendy escape? She should wait until nighttime and go through the first door. Can you write the number 45 only using the number 4? Here's the correct way. Tim lives in an apartment building. He comes home in the evening and finds out that his car is wrecked. He also sees 3 neighbors standing nearby. Tim wants to find out who's guilty, so he questions them. Henry replies, "I was just skating around the block. I didn't touch your car." Will says, "I was playing basketball with my friends." And Shelley replies, "I've spent all day working in the coffee shop on the first floor of our building." Can you spot the liar? Shelley. She said that she'd been visiting the coffee shop, but it's closed for good. Bella wants to rob an old lady's house. She approaches the door and sees that the door is opened. Bella freaks out and runs away. Can you see what's wrong here? There's no hole for a key. There's a 5-letter word that has 3 consonants, and they are all the same. Also, the word has 2 different vowels. There's something wrong associated with this word. Can you guess it? Error. Sam is a restaurant owner. He enters the space, and the waiter whispers to him, "Sir, there's a famous millionaire eating lunch at one of the tables." Sam looks around and sees these 4 persons. Can you guess who's rich? The first guy is wearing a fake Nike hoodie. This elegant woman has a fake Gucci bag. The third person is wearing torn shoes. And this lady is holding the keys from the brand new Ferrari parked behind the window. So, she's definitely not poor. Take a look at these 9 letters. Can you form a 9-letter word using these letters? Don't forget to use each letter. The word is mythology. What has lots of eyes but can't see? The correct answer is a potato. I'm the part of the bird that's not in the sky. I can swim in the ocean and yet remain dry. What am I? I'm a shadow. An electric train is traveling southwest at 95 miles per hour, and the wind is blowing northeast at 95 miles per hour. Can you guess which direction the smoke blows? There's no smoke with an electric train. What 5-letter word becomes shorter when you add 2 letters to it? The correct answer is short. The more of me here, the less you see. What am I? I'm darkness. What building has the most stories? Library, of course. Bob gets lost in the gym. He's wandering around and finds 3 doors leading outside. There are dangerous lions behind the first door. There's a giant pterodactyl breathing fire behind the second door. And behind the third door, there's a tank with hungry sharks. Nobody can cross this tank and stay alive. Which door should Bob choose to survive? To crack this riddle, Bob should remember that pterodactyls don't breathe fire. That's what dragons do. Also, pterodactyls went extinct many millions of years ago, so Bob should choose the second door. I'm tall when I'm young, and I'm short when I'm old. What am I? I'm a candle. There's a 1-story house in which everything is pink. Pink walls, pink doors, pink furniture. Can you guess the color of the stairs? It's a 1-story house. There are no stairs. I'm taken from a mine and shut up in a wooden case, from which I'm never released. And yet I'm used by almost everybody. What am I? I'm a pencil lead. Miss Smith is a billionaire. She has 3 people living in her house with her. Adam, her reckless son, Peter, her noisy brother, and Sebastian, the loyal housekeeper. One day, Miss Smith finds this message written on her calendar. Can you help her spot the betrayer?
Ooh.
The circled numbers mean the months. It's her son, Adam. I can be long or I can be short. I can be grown and I can be bought. I can be painted or left bare. I can be round or a square. What am I? I'm your fingernails. Danny is a famous vampire hunter. He gets an invitation to a small town. There's a vampire living in this town, but nobody can catch this dangerous creature. Danny decides to look in the local restaurant. He asks the staff to show him security camera archives to check among the restaurant visitors over the years, and soon identifies the vampire. Who's the vampire? There he is. Vampires don't age, and also don't eat food. Danny takes a walk around the town and spots another creepy detail. Can you see it too? There's a zombie hiding over there. What about this location? Can you spot any zombies here? Hello, great job. Can you count the number of triangles in the given picture? What about this picture? How many triangles can you see? You can pause this video if you need extra time. There are 104 triangles in this picture.
Hi, my favorite detective. I've got a new portion of tricky riddles for you to train your sharp mind. Let's start.
Yeah.
One summer night, Emily threw a big party. But in the morning, she discovered that someone had stolen all her jewelry and money.
Oh no!
The police have 3 suspects: Daniel, Emily's boyfriend, Lily, her best friend, and Hannah, the girl's sister. Daniel told the police that he'd been playing computer games with his friend all night long. Lily felt sick and went home in the middle of the night. She said she knew nothing about the theft when the police called her. And Hannah said that she had stayed at the party till 7 a.m. and then had taken a taxi home because nobody could give her a lift. It was dark and she couldn't see anything. Who was lying? At 7 a.m. in the summer, it's already light outside. One day, a famous soccer coach went missing right from the changing rooms. The police had 3 suspects, and all of them were from his team. Brandon said that after the training, he'd stayed on the pitch to practice a bit more. He hadn't been to the changing room yet. Andrew swore that after the training, he had gone outside to meet with his girlfriend. And James said, "When I was leaving the changing room, the coach was still there." Who's behind the disappearance of the coach? It's Brandon. He said he hadn't been to the changing room yet. But look, he's wearing not his uniform, but his street clothes. Once, a mad professor kidnapped Zoe and held her in his house. Was he planning to experiment on her? There was no way the young woman could escape. But one day, the scientist got bored.
You'll have to make breakfast for me tomorrow. If I like it, I'll let you go. If not, no one will hear about you again.
In the morning, Zoe went to the kitchen and started cooking. But when she turned away from the stove, the scientist threw a whole box of salt into the pot. However, when Zoe served him breakfast, he realized he had to set the girl free. Can you figure out what Zoe cooked? The girl boiled eggs. A man on a motorbike crashed into the window of Mr. Ruby's store, grabbed several expensive watches, and drove away. When the police arrived, Mr. Ruby told them that he was almost sure it had been his nephew, Patrick. The officers went to visit the guy. Because of a heavy downpour, it took them 1 hour to get there. Patrick was at home, together with his friend. "Look at the weather. I haven't been outside since yesterday." Patrick's friend confirmed his words, but the police didn't believe their story and arrested Patrick. Why? The guy's helmet is hanging on his motorbike. If it had been there since the previous day, it would have been filled with rainwater by now. 4 friends went to a cafe together. 2 of them, Linda and Mike, ordered a large pot of blueberry tea. Kirsten took some lemonade, and Oscar opted for orange juice. Half an hour later, Linda and Mike lost consciousness and were rushed to a hospital. When the police analyzed the tea they had drunk, they found poison in it. The main suspects were, of course, Kirsten and Oscar. Why didn't they drink the tea? Kirsten said that she didn't like tea with berries, and Oscar explained that he was allergic to blackberries. Who is the culprit? It's Oscar. He said he was allergic to blackberries, but the tea his friends drank was with blueberries. David worked at a construction site. Once, someone attacked him, and the unconscious man was taken to a hospital. Police officers who arrived to investigate the case had 3 suspects who also worked at the construction site: Alex, Ryan, and John. Alex said, "I was putting all tiles on the roof when the accident happened." Ryan confessed that he'd been sleeping under the tree, and John claimed that he'd been laying bricks at that time. Can you figure out who's lying? Alex was the one to hurt David. The building has no roof yet, so he couldn't be putting tiles up there. You've bought a cute little rabbit at a pet store. The animal can breed every 2 months, and every time it will deliver 5 babies. How many rabbits will you have in a year? You'll have just 1 rabbit. If you want to have little bunnies, you have to buy 2 rabbits. Look at these people attentively. Who is a mer person? Pay attention to every little detail. It's the guy on the right. Look, his hands are webbed. Allison won the main prize of $1 million on a game show. But when the shooting was over, it turned out that the host of the show had disappeared, together with the prize. The police managed to log into the computer in his office. They saw that the host had sent this message to his girlfriend. It looked like the host had told his girlfriend where he was going. The police went to the airport, but which flight was the host going to catch? Can you figure it out? Now let's see, the first two letters of Atlas are AT. If we take 3 letters from the word land, it'll leave us with LAN. And the 2 first letters of tattoo are TA. Together, these letters make up the word Atlanta. Hurry to the gate, officers! Jack got lost in the woods. Suddenly, he saw a castle. The man rushed there and was greeted by the owner of the castle.
You have to answer just one question. If you win, I'll show you the way out of the forest. But if you lose, you'll never leave my castle.
Jack agreed. The owner asked,
There are 4 mirrors on the wall. One of them reflects fire-spitting dragon Niren. The second, beautiful mermaid Laura. In the third mirror, you can see a terrifying vampire Sam. And in the fourth, unicorn David. You have to figure out which reflection isn't real, and fast!
The reflection of vampire Sam isn't real. Vampires can't be reflected in mirrors. A businessman arrived at his office after a long trip and discovered that some important documents had disappeared from his desk. He immediately called the police, and a detective arrived shortly after. After interviewing all the workers, he had a list with 3 suspects on it. They were Emma, the accountant, Sophia, the receptionist, and James, a sales manager. But each of these people claimed that they hadn't even been inside the businessman's office. Still, it didn't take long until the detective figured out who was lying. Can you do the same? The thief is James. Both women wear high heels in the office, but the footprints on the floor are obviously left by sneakers. You throw me when you need me and pick me up when you don't need me. Can you figure out what I am? Right you are. I'm an anchor. How can you increase 66 by 1.5 if you aren't allowed to make any mathematical operations? Hurry up and crack this riddle. Just turn 66 upside down. It was Mr. and Mrs. Smith's wedding anniversary, and Mrs. Smith was going to put on diamond earrings her husband had presented her for their wedding. But when she opened her jewelry box, she saw that the earrings weren't there. She called her daughters, Dora and Laura. I've told you so many times not to touch my things. Who took my jewelry this time? Dora exclaimed, I haven't touched your jewelry box. Laura also denied taking her mom's stuff. I don't even wear earrings. Can you figure out which girl is lying? It was Laura who stole the earrings. Her mom didn't specify which piece of jewelry was missing.
Mike has recently left his job. He's looking for a new, more exciting one. But so far, all his attempts have brought 0 results. Can you tell how many job interviews he has failed by looking at his apartment? Take a look at this schedule on the wall. In the previous month, Mike marked all working days with green color, and the weekends were red. At that time, he most likely still had his job. And the current month has 6 stickers with the letter I. Ike has most likely attended 6 interviews. Mike was losing hope when he found a weird letter in his mailbox. An elegant little note said, "If you manage to figure out our phone number, call us. We'll offer you a dream job." Can you help Mike see the number? It's 713819. Mike called this number. A mysterious voice asked him to solve a riddle. I make 2 people out of 1. What am I? In a minute, Mike received an official invitation to his dream job interview. What did he answer? A mirror. When Mike arrived at the meeting location, he found a large, gloomy building in the middle of nowhere. The door slammed shut behind the guy's back as soon as he got inside. Mike found himself in a hallway with 3 doors. He noticed a boat, an insect spray, and an astronaut suit on the floor. The same mysterious voice said, "You can choose only 1 tool and 1 door. Good luck." There are venomous spiders behind the first door. A hungry lion is waiting behind the second door. And finally, there's a swamp emitting toxic fumes behind the third door. What should Mike choose to pass this test and stay alive? He should pick the astronaut suit and the first door. Spiders won't be able to bite through the suit. In the next room, the voice offered Mike to have a coffee break, but the guy had to choose wisely because only 1 type of snack was safe to eat. Can you help Mike pick the right food? There are human nails in the cupcakes and cockroaches in these chips. The color of the meat in this burger is very suspicious. This sushi set looks rather edible, but its smell attracts too many flies. Mike should choose these donuts. They look fresh and appetizing. The cafeteria was filled with people. The voice told Mike to find a thief among them. Can you help Mike get some bonuses for his attentiveness? This woman over there is the thief. She's hiding spoons in her pocket. After lunch, Mike headed for the next room, but before the guy got inside, he had to solve a riddle to open the door. Some will use me, others will not. Some remember me, others forget. I can't be picked up off the ground or tossed into the sea. You can only gain me with time. What am I? The correct answer is knowledge. Mike entered a beautiful party hall filled with people in costumes and masks. The voice told Mike to go find 1 ghost, 1 zombie, and 1 thief among these people. Look at this crowd very attentively. Can you see them? The guy over there doesn't seem to have legs, and he's levitating. He must be a ghost. Look at this woman's food. Only zombies would eat that. And the woman over there is the thief. Her diamond ring doesn't fit her finger. Also, the ring is very similar to this lady's jewelry set. Mike tried to open the next door and receive a new question immediately. I look flat, but I'm deep. Hidden realms I shelter. Lives I take, but food I offer. At times I am beautiful. I can be calm, angry, and turbulent. I have no heart, but I offer pleasure and freedom. No man can own me, yet I encompass what all men must have. What am I? Mike solved this riddle and entered the next room. Have you figured out the answer too? The correct answer is, I'm the ocean. Mike saw the next door, but whatever he did, he couldn't open it. He spotted an electronic lock on the door and a map of a maze on the wall. The voice said that Mike must solve the riddle to open the door. Can you help? If you go through the maze from start to finish, you'll get 6251. This is the code. When Mike finally entered the room, he saw a locked safe. The voice said that Mike's task was to open the safe. What buttons should he press? The puzzles present 3 colors: pink, white, and brown. Mike pressed the correct buttons and unlocked the safe, but he only found one small coin inside. The next room was empty, except for an old vending machine in the corner. Mike came closer and noticed a small key inside the machine. Suddenly, the walls began to move. The room was getting smaller and smaller. The voice told Mike to be careful because the vending machine was broken. Some wires were torn and mixed up. Which button should Mike press to get the key out and get out of the room before it's too late? Mike should use the coin from the previous challenge and press the 4th button. Then the voice asked Mike to find the odd image in this pattern. Can you help the guy? The couple over there is different. In another room, Mike met a nice elderly lady, Miss Jason. She was very upset because someone had broken into her apartment. Mike's task was to find the robber. He inspected the crime scene and questioned 3 witnesses. The cleaning lady, Sarah, said that she'd finished her work at 11 p.m. and left. Billy, a passerby, said that he'd seen a suspicious man in a mask in Miss Jason's window. Kelly, the neighbor, was visiting her boyfriend in another city. Who's lying? Billy. He's a passerby and just met Miss Jason. Then how come he knows which window is hers? It got very dark outside, but Mike's weird quest continued. He entered a jewelry store and its owner explained the guy his next task. Someone had broken into the store and taken the most expensive diamond jewelry. But luckily, the robber left their fingerprints on the shards of broken glass. There are 3 suspects: a werewolf, an elf, and a zombie. Can you help Mike find the real robber? It was the elf. He's the only creature among them with human-like fingerprints. Another door led Mike into a creepy lab. There, he saw a mad scientist playing a strange game with his patients. He asked them to choose between 2 pills. One of them was a harmless capsule with vitamins, while the other one was a sleeping pill. Somehow, the scientist managed to get the harmless pill every time he played this game, and his opponents always fell asleep. How was this possible? And what should Mike do to pass this test? Both pills were actually harmless. The scientist added a special substance to the glasses of water he offered his patients to wash down the pills. So, to stay awake, Mike should switch the glasses or simply refuse to drink any water. The next door was locked, but Mike saw 6 buttons with the images of a candle, fire, gloves, scissors, an apple, and a light bulb. The voice said, "I was carried into a dark room and set on fire. I wept, and then my head was cut off. What am I?" 1 minute later, Mike was already walking towards his next challenge. What button did he press to open the door? The button with the candle on it. Suddenly the lights went out. Mike slipped and fell into a swimming pool. Someone turned the light on again and Mike saw 3 identical ladies in the pool. All 3 of them looked like ordinary women and claimed to be human. But in reality, 2 of them are mermaids. How can Mike find the real woman among them? He can dive and find the one without a tail. The mermaids told Mike that they wouldn't let him out of the pool until he solved another riddle. I'm so fast you can't see me, although everyone else can see straight through me. I'm with you until your last breath. What am I? Can you help Mike solve this riddle and escape? The correct answer is the blink of an eye. The mermaids let Mike go, and he entered the next room. On a huge screen, there were two guys. The first one was taking a selfie with a tornado. The second one was standing under an umbrella in the middle of a thunderstorm and taking pictures. Mike had to decide whose behavior is riskier. The tornado is very close. Therefore, the first guy is in greater danger. At the same time, the second guy will have enough time for another couple of shots. In the next room, Mike saw 5 zombies behind bars. All those guys were suspected of stealing a car. Mike had to decide which of them was the thief. Have you guessed? The guy on the left is sweating a lot, and zombies don't sweat and don't drive cars. He must be the thief. He's just wearing zombie makeup. Mike entered a kitchen. His task was to decide how many people lived in the house. Can you guess? Three people. There are 3 different drinks on the table and 3 chairs. Now look at this bathroom. How many people live in this apartment? Just 1. Take a look at this lonely toothbrush. And how many people live in this place? Two people. Look at the family portrait. Mike saw 3 musicians rehearsing for a performance in a garage. The voice announced his next task: to find one suspicious detail. Have you already spotted it? There's something wrong with this fire extinguisher. Finally, Mike found himself in an ordinary street. The voice said they had only one last question. What's the time? Mike had to choose between 3 options: 7 a.m., 3 p.m., or 11 a.m. Can you help Mike figure out the right time? The correct answer is 7 a.m. The streetlights are still on, but the sun is casting shadows from the east. Congratulations, Mike. You're hired.
Laura noticed a white sheet of paper on the floor. She picked it up. It said, "Follow the white rabbit. Look around the room attentively and try to figure out where the girl should go." See those bunny ears on that door? Laura should probably try it. But there was a combination lock on the door. And is that a riddle next to it? Laura started reading. The code is a 3-digit number. 682. One number here is correct and well placed. 635. One number is correct but in the wrong place. 206. 2 numbers are correct but in the wrong place. 738. Nothing here is correct. 780. One number is correct but in the wrong place. Can you help Laura figure out the code? From statements 4 and 5, we can understand that 0 is the correct number standing in the wrong place. 6 can't be the number we need, otherwise statements 1 and 2 would contradict each other. In this case, looking at statements 2 and 3, we can conclude that the correct numbers are 2, 5, and 0, and the code is 052. Laura opened the door and saw a long corridor. It led her to a large room. There, she saw a man dressed in black. He was sitting on a throne-like chair, holding Cinnabon. "Well, well, well, here you are," he said. "If you want to get your rabbit back, you'll have to do something for me." Laura had no choice but to agree. "You see, my wife Louisa disappeared during a performance she attended a week ago. Your task will be to find her." And the man gave Laura all the details. The girl questioned 3 witnesses. Dorothy said she had gone home right after the performance and hadn't noticed anything weird. Alina said that she had seen Louisa leave during the break with a tall blonde man. And Anna said that she'd been on the phone with her husband and hadn't seen where Louisa had gone. Who knows something about Louisa's whereabouts? Alina. Look, during the intermission, she wasn't wearing her glasses. Neither did she have her lenses on. Look at how clumsily she moved. But then, how could she see Louisa leaving with a man? After Laura pressed Alina, the woman cracked. She admitted that she had seen some woman pulling Louisa away, but she was afraid to tell the truth since the woman seemed extremely unfriendly. Alina gave Laura a piece of paper the woman had dropped, but whatever was written there, it was a cipher. Can you help Laura crack it? The note says, "At the docks." When Laura got there, she saw 3 buildings. She understood she wouldn't have enough time to search all of them. She needed to choose the one where Louisa was kept, and fast. Can you help Laura? Look at the dark blue construction attentively. Next to the window, there's the word "help" scratched with some sharp object. After looking around the building, Laura found 3 keys. She needed to figure out which one of them fit the lock. Hurry up! Right, this is the key. The door opened, and Laura saw a woman sitting in the far corner. It was Louisa. She helped the woman to her feet, and they stumbled away. Soon, they noticed 3 taxis. Which car should they choose? The first one doesn't have a license plate. That's suspicious. And the driver of the second taxi is the very woman who took Louisa away a week ago. She's wearing a fake mustache and a baseball cap, pretending to be a man. Laura and Louisa should choose the third taxi. But luck wasn't on their side that evening. The car broke down before they could get to Louisa's husband. They had to walk. There were 3 paths in front of them. One led to a swamp. Toxic gases were floating all over the surface of the water. The second road was filled with poisonous plants. And over the third path, the air was swarming with agitated wasps. Which path should Laura and Louisa opt for? The second. At least the plants can't move, so if the women are careful, they'll be able to avoid touching them. Finally, they arrived at Louisa's house. Once the man in black saw his wife, he hugged her and turned to Laura. "I'm so sorry for using such methods, but I was getting desperate. I can't tell you why, but I had to keep her disappearance under wraps. That's why I chose to involve you. Thank you. I want to give something to you, but to get it, you'll need to crack this riddle." An electronics store owner came to work one day and saw that his safe was open. His money was nowhere to be found. He called the police. When a detective arrived, the store owner explained that the key to his safe was on the same keychain as the keys from his truck. 2 of his employees, Andrew and Ryan, used the truck and had access to all the keys, but the men had always returned them. The detective questioned the drivers. "Someone broke into your boss's safe yesterday. What do you know about this incident?" Andrew said, "I didn't copy the key. I wouldn't even know which one to copy." And Ryan said, "I've been working here for 3 months and have never entered the boss's office yet." The detective understood who the thief was right away. Can you figure it out? Andrew stole the money. The detective didn't say how the criminal had opened the safe. Then how did Andrew know it?
Hazel is a rock climber. She's packing bags for an expedition to Everest. Can you spot any extra items in her suitcase? It's unlikely that you would need these fancy high-heeled shoes in the mountains. Also, this fragile vase is useless on a hike.
Hazel orders a taxi to go to the airport. She's using this app. There are 4 free cars in her neighborhood, but only one of them can reach Hazel's home. Can you tell which one? It's the third car. Hazel arrives at the airport. She takes a closer look at her ticket and faints. Can you guess why? The name of the airport on the ticket doesn't match the airport that she's in. Hazel needs to go to the correct airport as quickly as possible. These 2 drivers are eager to give her a ride. Can you tell who will reach the destination faster? Although the second car looks more expensive and chic, it has a flat tire. Therefore, Hazel should choose the first driver. Finally, Hazel boards her flight. She falls asleep right away. She wakes up in a while and realizes that someone has stolen her phone. Hazel questions 3 suspects. Bill says, "I've been watching a movie within the last hour. I didn't look around. Sorry." Kyle says, "I was sleeping too until you woke me up." And Sheila says, "I'm afraid of flying, so I listened to soothing music with my eyes closed." Can you guess who stole Hazel's phone? Nobody. She just dropped it on the floor over here. See? It's dinner time. Kyle offers Hazel his dessert if she succeeds in guessing the date of his birth. Here's a hint. The day before yesterday, Kyle was 22, and next year, Kyle will be 25. Can you help Hazel solve this mystery? Today is the 1st of January, and Kyle's birthday was on the 31st of December. Therefore, Kyle was 22 on December 30th. Then he turned 23 on December 31st. This year, he will turn 24, and the next year, 25. Finally, Hazel lands in Nepal. She enters the baggage claim area and sees 3 odd things right away. Can you see them too? There's a dog in this bag. Animals don't come with regular luggage. This baggage cart lacks all wheels and floats in the air. And these boats are parked outside the window along with the planes. Hazel arrives at the meeting point for climbers at the local restaurant. But there's no one there. The cleaning lady says, "I was busy cleaning the toilet and just got back. I didn't see anyone." The guard says, "Oh yeah, the meeting has been delayed for tomorrow, that's for sure." And the waiter says, "I've been here all the time, and I haven't noticed any crowds of tourists." Who's lying? The guard. See this sign? The meeting takes place on the roof. That's why they didn't see the tourists. On the way to the roof, Hazel sees a woman who's cleaning a window on the 10th floor. Suddenly, she slips and falls. She doesn't have any safety equipment and nothing to soften her fall. But yet, she's not hurt. How can this be? The woman was cleaning the window inside the building. Finally, Hazel meets her group of climbers. But one of these people is an imposter. Can you guess who? This guy has tentacles instead of a hand. He's definitely not from this planet. Hazel goes on an expedition with the group. She stops to take some pictures and gets lost. In a while, Hazel finds 3 roads leading to the next mountain village.
But every path hides some adventure. There's a hungry snow leopard walking on the first path. There's a herd of Himalayan yaks on the second path. And Road 3 leads through an avalanche risk area. Any movement can make the snow slide down. Which way is more or less safe? Hazel should choose the second path. Although these yaks look pretty scary, in fact, they're friendly plant eaters. Hazel checks into the local hostel. She leaves her bags in the room and goes to see the sights of the village. After a while, she returns and finds out that someone had stolen her passport. Hazel calls the sheriff and he interrogates 4 suspects. The hotel manager says, "I was dealing with a tourist group that has just arrived. I didn't notice any robbers." The hostel owner says, "I was dealing with a bathroom clog all day." The gardener says, "I didn't enter the hostel. I was watering the roses in the garden." And the cleaner says, "I was too busy feeding fish in the lobby. I didn't notice anything suspicious." Who's lying? The cleaner. Can you see any aquariums in the lobby? Hazel visits a local restaurant. The cook offers her 3 meals to choose from. Can you help her pick the safest option? There's a worm in these instant noodles, and there are too many flies around this rice. It's probably not very fresh. So, Hazel should choose this sandwich. In the village, Hazel meets the local guide, Luke. He offers to show Hazel the shortest way to the top. But first, Hazel has to solve his riddle. Luke and his wife have 7 children. Half of them are sons. How is this possible? Can you help Hazel solve this mystery? They are all sons. Luke and Hazel begin the trip. On the way, he offers Hazel to visit the local magic caves. Hazel agrees, but eventually she gets lost inside one of the caves. She wanders around for a while and finds these 3 tunnels. There's a portal to the sun in the first tunnel. There's a box with an ancient magic gemstone inside the second tunnel. This gemstone curses anyone who sees it. And finally, the third tunnel hides a bunch of poisonous scorpions. Which way should Hazel choose to survive? The second one. The gemstone is locked in the box, so Hazel should just walk by it. Hazel needs to cross this toxic swamp to continue her trip. The only way to do so is to jump from one block to another. Can you help her choose the last stone wisely? Each block has a particular number: 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, and 21. This sequence is formed by adding the number 4. Therefore, the remaining block should be 25, not 27. Hazel continues her journey and finds this weird sign engraved on a rock. Can you help her crack the meaning of this code? The arrow is pointing to the right. The message is mirrored. If the POT is on the right, it means that the TOP, or top, is on the left. Now Hazel knows the right direction. It's getting really cloudy. It'll rain soon. Hazel decides to hide in one of these 3 caves and have some lunch. Can you help her pick the safest place to stay? Take a look at the tracks. The first cave is probably home to a family of bears. Mother bears can get furious when it comes to their cub protection. As for the second cave, it's obvious that a human being has entered it and come back out, which is encouraging. And now, let's take a look at the third cave. A human entered it but never came out. Therefore, Hazel should choose the second cave. Finally, Hazel reaches the top of the mountain. Suddenly, a kind wizard pops out of nowhere and greets her. He suggests Hazel relocate to a hidden magic world. He says, "I'll show you the gates if you solve my riddle. So listen carefully. I'm very fragile, and even just saying my name could break me. What am I?" Any ideas what it might be? The correct answer is silence. The wizard shows Hazel the gates. There are 3 doors, but only one of them leads to the magic world. Can you help Hazel figure this out? Only the second path leads to the final destination. Bye-bye! Anna entered the place and ordered meatballs and spaghetti. As she was waiting, 3 friends who were eating at another table caught her eye. They all looked like very rich people, but Anna could tell that only one of them was so rich that she could literally buy anything she wanted. Can you tell how Anna figured that out? First, take a look at the menu board on the wall. All the prices are listed there. And now, look at what each girl is eating. The first one is munching on Neapolitan pizza. The price for this dish is listed as $25. The second girl is eating pineapple pizza, which costs $39.99. The third girl, though, is trying Pizza Royale, which is made with 24-karat gold topping. Look it up, it's a real thing. And its price is $4,000. That's a lot, even for an airport restaurant. So the third girl must be the richest one. It was time to board the plane. The company spared no expense to get Anna to San Francisco with comfort. So she was going to fly business class. As one of the flight attendants showed her to her seat, she told Anna that she was very lucky to be on this flight because there was a very famous actor on board, and he was sitting next to her.
Oh my God.
Can you tell which of these people is the actor? See that guy holding his cell phone? Take a closer look at the screen. He's on his social media sharing a selfie he took with that guy, who must be the famous actor. And now, put that cell phone on airplane mode. Time to go. After the plane landed in San Francisco, Anna headed directly to the Data Corp's headquarters for her interview. She told the security guard that Chloe was expecting her for a job interview.
Hello.
After checking the guest list to confirm her words, the security guard gave her a name tag. "Here, take this. All guests have to wear it," he said. Then he gave her a card. "You need to go to the 7th floor to meet her. This card has the passcode to call the elevator. Good luck with everything." Just as Anna was going to thank him, he interrupted her and continued talking. And keep this in mind, the elevator will help you ascend in an orderly way. Anna thought, okay, weird. What can that even mean? Then she walked up to the elevator. There were no down or up buttons, just a passcode panel. Then she looked at the card the security guard had given her and saw a picture of a funny face. There were 3 numbers hidden in that image, and they were the numbers she needed to press on the panel. Can you see them? There's a 7 here, a 3 is here, and here's number 1.
Okay.
But in what order should she press them? Can you help her? Remember the weird thing the security guard said? He actually gave Anna a hint. The elevator will help you ascend in an orderly way. Ascend, order. So, she needs to enter the numbers in ascending order from the lowest to the highest. It means that the passcode is 137. Ah, here comes the elevator. Anna pressed the button for the 7th floor, but the elevator stopped on the 2nd floor. 3 people were going to get in. Anna was excited to see some Data Corp employees, but one of them didn't actually work there. Can you tell who? Remember what the security guard said about all guests having to wear name tags? This lady has one too, so she is a guest and isn't working there. Anna got off at the 7th floor and was greeted by Chloe. The woman directed her toward the manager's office. Anna walked in. "Hello, Anna, I'm Edith," the manager said. "I'm the one who's going to interview you, since you are applying for the manager's assistant position. I saw your CV and I was impressed. You've been solving all the riddles correctly, too. I have one last riddle for you, and if you crack it, we'll hire you.
Oh my god.
I'm a bean, but I'm not magic. I can be roasted, but I'm not a turkey. I can be ground, but I'm not pepper. I can be pressed, but I'm not a button. What am I? Quick, help Anna get this job." The answer is coffee. And you're going to be bringing me a lot of it. Welcome to Data Corp, Anna, Edith said. Wow, it's one weird job interview.
Santa has an unusual problem. One of his elves has just had his birthday, but Santa can't remember how old he's turned. The elf doesn't want to make the task easier. He says,
The day before yesterday, I was 34. The next year, I'll be 37.
It sounds strange, but the elf hasn't made any mistakes in his calculations. Santa definitely needs Detective Robinson's help. The elf's birthday is on December 31st, and he's talking about it with Santa on January 1st. The day before his birthday, he was 34. The next day, he turned 35. A new year started the next day. This year, he's going to turn 36, and he will be 37 the following year. No day without an accident. One young elf decided to play a prank on Santa and hid the presents behind one of these 2 doors. Detective Robinson knows that one of the doors hides a very unfriendly dragon, and behind the other, there are presents. He needs to pick the right door, otherwise the holiday is spoiled. There are 2 signs on the doors. One of them is a lie, and the other is true. On the first door, it's written, "The presents are here. The dragon is in the next room." The other sign says, "The presents and the dragon aren't in the same room." Can you help the detective figure out where the presents are? The presents are in the second room. The second statement is true, which means that the first one is false. After a long working day, Santa comes home and finds out that someone has broken all the glass decorations on his Christmas tree. He's shocked and upset. He calls Detective Robinson and tells him he has 2 suspects. One of them is one of his reindeer. Santa saw him near his house 2 hours ago. The other suspect is an elf Santa scolded. Look at the scene and help the detective determine the criminal. Look at the footprints the criminal left on the floor. They're too big and don't belong either to the deer or the elf. They actually look like they belong to Santa himself. But why would he need to frame his workers? This case makes Detective Robinson very suspicious. He starts observing Santa. Soon, Santa invites him for dinner and offers him 3 dishes to choose from. Since Chris is already wary of Santa, he examines the dishes very attentively. Look at them and say which dish is safe to eat. These chocolate chip cookies look fine until you notice that these chocolate chips are actually bugs. The steam rising over this bowl of soup is suspiciously green. This dish is likely poisoned. The only safe option is apples. Look at this tiny worm. If it can munch through the apple, it's most likely okay to eat. So, does it mean Santa wanted to get rid of Chris after the detective started to suspect something? This Santa can't be the real one. After Detective Robinson finds out that the mysterious evil force spoiling the holidays has been the fake Santa all along, he starts searching for the real Santa. Soon, he comes across a basement with 3 doors. Behind each of them, there's a man dressed as Santa and claiming to be the real one. Look at them attentively and try to figure out which Santa is real. It's Santa on the left! Hopefully you paid attention to the photo on the wall. It depicts Santa with his reindeer. If we compare the photo with all Santas, only the one on the left is absolutely the same. Birthday was coming up and she decided to treat herself to a relaxing day at the spa. During a massage, Mary dozed off. When she woke up, the money she had in her purse was missing.
Oh no!
Mary had 3 suspects. The cashier, Erica, claimed, "I was having lunch in the back." Catherine, the masseuse, said, "I went to the back of the store to get some extra oil." The last person was Monica. She was another customer. She said she hadn't seen anything and had just been waiting for her appointment. Can you tell which one is the culprit? The thief is Catherine. She must have waited for Mary to fall asleep and then took her things. Look at the money hidden behind the oils. Hey, it's time for a hair appointment to trim those split ends. But in this scenario, there are only 2 hairdressers in town who can cut your hair. This guy or this girl. Which one should you choose? The girl, of course. If there are only 2 hairdressers in town, that means they cut each other's hair. And judging by the haircut the guy gave the girl, it looks like he doesn't really know what he's doing. If a rooster lays an egg on top of this cabin, in which direction will it roll? Aha! Roosters don't lay eggs, so it wouldn't roll anywhere. The shopkeeper of an expensive skincare store called the police because someone had robbed his business. He didn't notice the culprit, but according to the security camera footage, there were 3 customers in the store at the time of the robbery. Police officers questioned each of them. Michael said he'd been buying some stuff for his pets. The second suspect, Kayla, was looking for ointments and some aloe vera gel. The last person, Rachel, told the interrogators she'd been busy looking for lotions. Can you tell who's lying? Michael is the culprit. The skincare store doesn't sell pet products. Duh. Peter is a rich man who owns a lot of expensive jewelry. One day, he woke up and noticed that all of it had been stolen. Uh-oh. He called a private detective to solve this case. Peter's wife Carla was the first one to be interrogated. "I was showering at the time," she said nervously. Bianca, the housekeeper who had been working for the family for years, was not in the house. She said, "I was cleaning the garage." The last suspect was Barb, the house chef. "I was making lunch for the family," she told the detective. Can you tell who stole the jewelry? It was Barb, of course. She claimed she was cooking lunch, but the crime happened at night. A man lives on the 80th floor of a high-rise building. On rainy days, he takes the elevator all the way up. But on sunny days, he only takes the elevator halfway to his floor. And then, he takes the stairs the rest of the way. Why does he do this? Well, my friends, it so happens that the man is short. Normally, he can only reach the 40th floor button. But on rainy days, he manages to push the 80th floor button with the help of his umbrella handle. Genius, huh? On a rainy day, Miranda decided to work from home. At one point, she went to the bathroom, but when she got back, she noticed that her cell phone and money had been stolen right in her own house during the day. There were 3 people in the house at the time. Her sister Beth claimed it wasn't her. "I was still asleep at the time because I'd gone to bed late yesterday." Her other sister Anna said she'd been taking a stroll in the garden when it had happened. "I was watching the night-scented orchid bloom." And lastly, there was Josh, Miranda's boyfriend. "I've just got home for lunch," he said. What do you think? Which of these 3 suspects stole Miranda's money and cell phone? Anna is the culprit, of course. Night-scented orchids only bloom at night, so she probably sneaked in and grabbed Miranda's things while the girl was away. A farmer rode into the village on Monday. He stayed in the village for 4 days and rode out on Monday. How is that possible? The farmer's horse is named Monday. I bet you didn't guess this one, did you? Uncle Ben's farm experienced a terrible downpour, and all but 15 pigs were missing and couldn't be found. How many pigs are still in the barn? If you said 15, you got it right. So, there are 3 important rooms in a house. The first one is a library full of rare books. The second room stores piles of money and gold. And the third room has boxes full of expensive jewelry in it. In case of a fire emergency, in which room will the police try to extinguish the fire first? The correct answer is none. Police officers don't fight fire. That's the job of firefighters. Virginia accidentally sent an email to her boyfriend instead of her best friend. She didn't want her partner to see it, so she took his laptop while he was sleeping and tried to delete the message. The laptop required a password to unlock. Luckily, there was a post-it with a hint. History, 3. Music, 5. Book, 2, 3, 1. Yellow, 1. What's the passcode? Each number indicated the letter Virginia had to select in the corresponding word. The third letter in history is S. The 5th letter in music is C. The second, third, and first letters in book are O, O, and B. And the first letter in yellow is Y. The password is Scooby. Hey Sherlocks, I really need your help here. So, take out your magnifying glasses and join me on this detective chase. Yeah. Look at this image. What's wrong here? These guys seem to be playing tennis, but they're using a tiny football. Now how about these people? One of them is from the future. Can you figure out who it is? Be very attentive. Right, it's this guy. He's got a smartphone in his pocket. This looks like a regular picnic in the park, but one of these people is a time traveler. Who is it? It's the guy with a USB port in his arm. A sailor has a piece of fabric that is 16 feet long. He cuts 2 feet of this fabric per day. How many days will he need to cut the whole cloth? Your first answer might have been 8 days, but in fact, the sailor will only need 7 days. The last remaining piece of fabric will be 2 feet long, and the sailor won't need to cut it. Adam's car has broken down right in the middle of a deserted forest road. But the worst thing? It's winter. Snowdrifts are huge, and the wind is freezing cold. Adam has to get to the nearest town, and fast. But if he follows the first path, he'll have to deal with hungry wolves. The second one goes through an area inhabited by bears. And if he takes the third road, he'll have to cross a river covered with thin ice. Which is the safest way? Adam should sneak through the bear's territory. These animals sleep in winter. Look at this picture. Which cage, in your opinion, is the safest? It's the last one. Even though a scorpion sting is painful, it's rarely life-threatening. The next tricky brain teaser for you. Can you figure out who has stolen her computer? It's definitely the girl on the right. Look at the strange shape her hoodie has taken. One of these girls is a wanted criminal. But which one? It's the one with dark hair. She has the same mole as the girl in the photo. Now there is something terribly wrong in this image. Can you figure out what it is? Look at that snowdrift near the cactus on the right. It's a desert. What is a snowdrift doing there? Look at these people and try to figure out who will divorce soon. Most likely, it will be the couple on the right. Have you noticed that the woman has secretly given a note with her phone number to the bartender? After a natural disaster, there was a blackout in Sam's town. Some criminals used darkness to kidnap the guy for ransom. The building where he was kept had 3 doors. Sam could use one of them to escape. But the first door hid a trap that would crush anyone as soon as they entered. Behind the second door, there were chainsaws that could cut anything into pieces in no time. The flesh-eating acid was bubbling behind the third door. Which door should Sam choose? Chainsaws can't harm the guy because there's no electricity in the town, remember? Liza was a millionaire's daughter. She was fed up with her father trying to control her life, so she decided to run away from home. She took some money and the most discreet car she could find in the garage and left. The girl knew her father would send his people to bring her back. That's why she never stayed in one hotel for more than one night. One day, she found herself in a small town. It was getting dark, and she had no choice but to stop at the first hotel she saw. The receptionist said her room number was 710 and offered to show her where it was. Liza immediately grabbed her bag, ran out of the hotel, jumped in the car, and sped away. Why? The first digit of a hotel room number usually means the floor it's on. Room 710 is supposed to be on the 7th floor. But the hotel has only 2 floors. This must be a trap. A tourist who didn't speak English came up to the ticket counter at a New York subway station. One ticket cost 50 cents, and the man handed the ticketing clerk $1. The woman gave the tourist 2 tickets without even asking how many he needed. How did she know? The tourist gave her 4 quarters, and she immediately realized that if he needed just 1 ticket, he would have just given her 2 quarters. Ice melts when you heat it, but if you heat me, I'll become solid. Can you figure out what I am? I'm an egg. I'm weightless, but you can see me. And if you put me in a water bottle, it will become much lighter. What am I? Right you are. I'm a hole. After having had a fight with a powerful wizard, Louisa found herself trapped in a medieval castle, far away from civilization. She couldn't escape. Jumping out of the window was out of the question because it was too high above the ground. And the only tree growing next to that window wasn't sturdy enough for the girl to use it to climb down. At the same time, in the room where Louisa was locked, there were 3 doors. One of them could lead the girl to freedom, but behind the first door, a fire was raging. The second door held back hundreds of venomous snakes. And behind the third door, there was a maze filled with animal traps. Which door should Louisa choose to escape? Louisa should break off a tree branch, turn it into a torch by lighting it in the first room, and then going through the maze. It won't be dark anymore, and the girl will easily avoid the traps. Now, your task is to crack a few rebus puzzles. Be very attentive and try to think outside the box. What does this mean? Right, that's Big Sister. How about this rebus puzzle? The correct answer is right between the eyes. Look at this one. That's good afternoon. What can you fill if your hands are empty? Well, this is confusing. How can I fill anything if there's nothing in my hands? You'll probably be able to figure it out. And the correct answer is gloves, or mittens if that's what you prefer. Mr. Wilson's company had some financial problems. One day, the man called the police. He said someone had broken into his office.
They stole my safe with all the money I had.
The police officers who came to investigate this case asked the man why he was so sure that there had been several thieves.
Well, my safe was too heavy for one person to carry.
The police instantly realized Mr. Wilson was lying. How? If the safe had been indeed so heavy, it would have left some dents on the carpet, but the floor covering is perfectly smooth. Detective Martin was choosing a diamond ring for his fiancée when a man in a black mask ran into the jewelry store. He made all the visitors lie on the floor and took the most expensive jewelry and money. After that, Detective Martin saw the man get on a red motorbike and speed away. The detective jumped into his car and set off on a chase. Soon, he came to a crossroads. Where should he go now? Suddenly, Martin saw a car coming from the opposite direction. He asked the driver if he'd seen the red bike.
No, I've only seen a silver convertible.
Then, the detective saw a gray car approach from the left. The woman inside said she hadn't seen the red bike, but she had seen a yellow bike and a group of cyclists. And the man who appeared from the right told Detective Martin he'd only noticed a large blue truck. Where is the robber? The motorbike can only be inside the blue truck. Mike goes to the library to study archival newspapers. This newspaper is supposed to have 60 pages, but pages 24 and 41 are missing. Can you guess which other pages won't be there too? Pages 19, 20, 23, 37, 38, and 42 will also be missing. Mike finds a note inside the newspaper. There's a secret maze in the library leading to amazing treasures. The note shows this map. Can you help Mike walk this path correctly? Here's the right way. Mike walks through the maze and finds this bookcase. One of the shelves is fake. Can you spot which one? This shelf is fake. Books on the other shelves are covered with dust and cobwebs. But these books are clean and the cobwebs around them are torn. Mike finds a secret room behind the fake bookshelf. He enters the room and finds a big safe and this weird note nearby. The safe is locked, and Mike needs to enter a 9-letter password to open it. Can you help him crack the code? The correct password is Moonlight, and here's why. Take a look at the hint note. All Mike needs to do is to use the corresponding number letter of each word. The first letter in the maze is M. The third letter in looks is O. And the second letter in roses is also O. And so on. Mike opens the safe and finds 3 identical gemstones and a note. Suddenly, the door to the secret room slams shut and the walls begin to shrink. Mike reads the note. Only one of these diamonds is real. Find it and put it into the lock. You only have 15 seconds. Good luck. Oh, no. Can you help Mike spot the fake diamonds? Mike should drop all 3 stones into this glass of water on the table. If the diamond is real, it will drop to the bottom of the glass thanks to its high density. And if it's a fake, it will float on the surface. Mike succeeds and unlocks the door, leading to a secret hallway. He walks through the hallway and sees 4 doors and a beautiful statue in the middle of the space. The statue sings, "We came out at night without being called. We disappeared by morning without being stolen. Who are we?" Can you guess which door Mike should enter? The song has a hint for Mike. The statue is singing about stars. Therefore, Mike should choose the door decorated with stars. Mike enters the next room and meets a queen. She says, "Hello, stranger. I have a task for you. If you succeed, I'm going to reward you with wealth and fame. But if you fail, you'll stay here forever as my prisoner. I want to renovate my kingdom so that all my 10 castles are connected through 5 straight walls. And each wall must connect 4 castles together. Also, at least one of the castles should be protected with walls." Then, the queen shows him this picture and continues, "My royal architect failed to give any solution that meets all my wishes, but he suggested this plan. Do you have a better idea?" Mike should offer this solution to please the queen. Now 2 castles are protected with walls. The queen kept her word and made Mike very rich. Also, she threw a feast in his honor. Unfortunately, not all royal servants are glad to see their queen with a new favorite. Take a look at these 3 people. Can you spot Mike's hater? Although this friendly-looking lord gives Mike a bag of gold coins, there's a snake hiding inside his gift. Mike is observing the royal garden. He sees 3 lemon trees. Each of them has exactly 10 lemons. The gardener comes over and picks 4 oranges from each tree. Can you calculate the number of fruits left on the lemon trees? 30. Oranges don't grow on lemon trees. The Queen tells Mike an amazing story. I'm fond of dragon racing. On Sunday, I rode to see a race in a cozy village outside of my kingdom. 5 days later, on Monday, I went home. Can you explain this, considering that she doesn't have a time machine? Sunday is the name of her dragon. Mike likes the kingdom very much, but it's time to go home. The Queen gives him 3,000 gemstones the size of a watermelon. He rents a truck to carry them home. Mike's current location is 1,000 miles away from home. Unfortunately, the truck can only carry 1,000 gemstones at once. Also, there's a check post on every mile till home. Each post requires all drivers to pay with 1 gemstone while traveling towards Mike's hometown. But the road is free of charge while traveling towards the kingdom. Can you figure out a way to bring the highest possible number of gems to Mike's hometown? Mike should make 3 trips of 1,000 gemstones each till mile 333. After that, he will be left with 2,001 gemstones and have 667 more miles to go. At this point, he should take 2 trips of 1,000 gemstones, covering 500 miles more. This way, he will be left with 1,000 gemstones. After riding the remaining 167 miles, Mike will be left with 833 gems. And he'll still be rich and fabulous.
Kevin and Jill moved in together several months ago. Can you guess how many months ago did they start living together by looking at this picture? There's a cleaning schedule hanging on the fridge. It has colored stickers with their names. They've been keeping this schedule for 5 months already. Therefore, they moved in together 5 months ago. New Year was coming, and Kevin invited Jill to spend the holidays in his parents' house. When they arrived, Kevin introduced Jill to his father and 2 brothers. Suddenly, Kevin's mother entered the house with her 2 best friends. They just came back home from the mall. Can you help Jill decide which of these 3 women is Kevin's mother? The third woman. The mole on her face is identical to Kevin's. Also, she's the only natural blonde among these women. Although the other 2 ladies also have blonde hair, their roots are dark. Kevin gave Jill a tour around the house. He offered her to play a game and guess on the second floor. She was supposed to guess which of the 3 bedrooms was Kevin's room where he lived with his parents. Have you guessed? The second room. Kevin's name was written on the wall. Although the graffiti was covered with paint, it could still be seen through. Besides, the interior of Kevin's current apartment also has some graffiti elements because he still pursues his hobby. Before the dinner, Kevin's brothers decided to prank Kevin and Jill and serve some snacks. There are 3 bowls with snacks, but only one of them contains edible snacks. Can you help Kevin and Jill choose the right bowl? The first bowl has spiders in it. The second bowl doesn't only contain chips, but also Lego parts. And there's a couple of dirty socks inside the third bowl. Therefore, the safest option is bowl number 2. They just need to be careful not to eat Lego parts. During the dinner, Kevin's mother has been asking Jill embarrassing questions. Jill told her 4 facts about herself. She graduated from college with honors. She doesn't have any tattoos. Jill and Kevin met each other online. Her favorite color is blue. But only 3 facts are true. Which one is false? Jill does have a tattoo. Take a look at her ankle. Next morning, the entire family gathered in the living room to have breakfast and unpack Christmas gifts. Can you guess what gift is from Kevin's mother to Jill? this blue box. It's the only gift wrapped in a different color than others. Kevin's mother probably learned that Jill would come over after having wrapped all the gifts for her family. Besides, Jill mentioned that she loved blue color. Kevin and Jill went hiking nearby Kevin's hometown. It started to snow, and they decided to spend a romantic night in the woods. They rented a lovely cabin. Next morning, Jill got out of the bed and saw that their backpacks had disappeared.
Hey!
Take a look at this picture. Can you guess who stole their stuff? Kevin's brothers decided to prank them. There are traces of two people on the snow, and one of the brothers dropped one of his purple gloves. Kevin's brothers jumped out of a barn where they hid. They decided to go for a walk and found a secret base in the mountains. It was well guarded, but Kevin's brother Mike found an open door. The door slammed shut just as Mike got inside. He saw 3 pots in front of him. There was a fire in the first one. The second one was full of acid, and there was a working electric saw in the third pot. Suddenly, a mysterious voice said, "You can get a key from one of the pots to break free, but you can't move the pots." How did Mike escape? He pulled icicles from the ceiling and threw them into the first pot. The icicles melted and put the fire out. The guys continued their journey. Soon after, they decided to stop and have a quick snack. Kevin's second brother, Andy, spotted a cave. As soon as he entered the cave, the way out disappeared. Now he must choose between 3 doors. There are poisonous scorpions behind the first door. There's a sleeping potion behind the second door, and he would have to drink. Finally, there's a hungry tiger behind the third door. What should Andy do to escape? He should grab the sleeping potion, pour it over his sandwich, and throw the food at the hungry tiger. When the tiger falls asleep, he'll be able to escape through the third door. Jill, Kevin, Andy, and Mike headed home when they noticed cougars moving toward them. The guys started running away and saw a tunnel. It was very dark and scary. They only have 12 minutes to cross it. It takes Mike 1 minute to cross the tunnel, Andy 2 minutes, Jill 4 minutes, and Kevin 5 minutes. The guys decided to split into 2 pairs, but they only have 1 flashlight, and there's no way they go in there in 4. How can they escape? Andy and Mike should walk through the tunnel with the flashlight in 2 minutes. Then Mike returns. They still have 9 minutes. Kevin and Jill run through the tunnel with the flashlight and give it to Andy. It will take another 5 minutes. Then Andy should run to Mike, and they will escape together with the remaining 2 minutes. Kevin and Jill returned home, but the adventure continued. Someone robbed their apartment yesterday. They called the police and questioned the neighbors. Dan said that he had spent all holidays at work and didn't come home at all. Vicky was wearing headphones because she was making music, so she couldn't hear any suspicious sounds. And Emily spent the holidays at her sister's place because construction workers had to finish renovations in her apartment. Who is lying? Emily. If they finished renovations, why is her apartment a giant mess? 2 years later, Kevin and Jill decided to get married. On the wedding day, Kevin noticed that Jill had forgotten her wedding necklace in his bag. He went to her dressing room to get the jewelry, but when he got there, he saw 3 identical Jills wearing identical dresses. Jill's father is a scientist. He decided to test Kevin's feelings before the wedding and made 2 clones of his daughter. Help Kevin find his real bride. It's the third one. She has a tattoo on her ankle, remember? And her clones don't, because tattoos don't impact genetics. Jill went downstairs to say hi to her bridesmaids, But when she saw them, Jill began to yell at her dad because he pranked her with his mad scientific tricks once again. One of the bridesmaids was a cyborg. Can you guess who it was? This elegant lady over here. What is she doing with her head? Kevin's mother was responsible for the wedding banquet, but when she entered the kitchen and saw the food served by the catering company, she got very upset. She called the company's office and started to yell at the manager, telling them to fix the disaster immediately. Can you guess what made her so upset? Look at the top of the cake. There are 2 green goblins instead of the bride and the groom. Kevin and Jill went to the Caribbean for their honeymoon. The hotel looked rather creepy, but they decided to stay there anyway. The hotel employee asked the newlyweds to choose a room from the remaining options. Can you help Kevin and Jill pick a good room? There were weird stains on linen in the first room. There's a spider web on the chandelier in the second room, and the third one looks pretty good. Jill decided to chill in the swimming pool. On her way to the dressing room, she noticed a TV in the hall and heard some breaking news. Someone spotted a zombie in town. The creature probably went downtown, and it could be anywhere. Zombies are not very good at swimming and move very slowly. Jill entered the dressing room and met 3 people. Can you tell who the zombie is? There's a bandage on this woman's leg. No one would go to a swimming pool if they had cuts or stretches unless they're a zombie. In the hotel room, Kevin found a secret door leading to a tunnel. He walked through the tunnel and found storage full of diamonds. Suddenly, prison bars appeared around Kevin out of nowhere, and a mysterious voice said, "You can take all the diamonds and leave safely if you manage to choose the right potion to escape." There were 3 options. The first potion will make Kevin invisible, the second potion will turn him into a bird, and the third potion will make him super tall. In 5 minutes, Kevin returned to Jill with a huge bag of diamonds. Which potion did he choose? The second one. He turned into a small bird that flew through the bars. The next morning, Jill woke up stuck on a small, flat, deserted island. It raised up 40 feet, and all around the base are jagged rocks and shark-infested waters. The island was covered in a dry, flammable vegetation. Suddenly, lightning struck the easternmost point of the island, and a huge fire started. The wind made the fire burn in a perfectly straight line across the island, with no gaps in the fire line. The fire was burning quite intensely, and she couldn't vault it or put it out. Jill cannot jump or traverse the rocks, and the wind won't change direction. How can she survive? Jill can start a fire herself, which will burn behind her. By the time the main fire gets there, she will be surrounded by an already burned area, and the main fire will not harm her. Also, since there was lightning, it probably rained soon after. The rain could put out the fire, and Jill would survive. Wow, what a crazy honeymoon. I think I'd just stay home.
Today, I'm going to put your attentiveness to the test. Pay attention to every little detail, and you'll solve all the riddles in no time. Mark was walking along the river when he heard someone screaming. It was a young woman who was drowning. The guy immediately left his jacket and backpack on the ground and jumped into the water. Luckily, he was on time. When Mark pulled the woman out of the river, he saw a passerby standing next to his stuff.
Unfortunately, I can't swim, but I looked after your things,
the man said. Then why did you rummage in my backpack? Mark asked. How did he understand someone had opened his backpack? When he dropped the bag on the ground, the zipper was on the left side, but now it's on the right side. It was a scorching hot day when Thomas made a bet with his friends. At that time, they were chilling in the garden, drinking water and lemonade. Thomas told his friends that water produced by different companies tasted different too. "You can blindfold me. I'll take a sip from 2 bottles of water, the one we have on the table and the one from a different producer. I saw it in the kitchen. I bet I'll be able to tell the difference." Then he did exactly that. His friends were ready to give Thomas the money he had won. But one of them cut in.
You were cheating,
He said. Why did he think so? It was an extremely hot day. No wonder the water had been outside for several hours, which was much warmer than the water brought from the kitchen. Someone robbed a bank in a large city. A police detective went to visit the main suspect, who had been detained several times before.
"I've been feeling unwell this week, and I haven't left my apartment for 3 days. Luckily, I didn't need food. My fridge is full. You can make sure of it yourself,"
the man said and opened his fridge. But the detective realized the man was lying and arrested him. How did he figure it out? First of all, that loaf of bread on the table looks fresh. Plus, if the man had been staying inside for 3 days already, his fridge wouldn't be so full. Mr. Black sold beautiful, rare vases. There were dozens of them on the shelves of his store. One day, the man called the police. When they arrived, the owner had his head bandaged and his store was a mess. "Some guys in masks ran into my store and grabbed the money and the most expensive vases. Then they hit me on the head and I blacked out." Police officers immediately understood that Mr. Black was lying to get the insurance money. How did they figure it out? Even though most of the vases are on the floor, they aren't even cracked. But if the vases had fallen down from the shelves during the robbery, they would have been shattered. Look at these 2 bloggers. As you see, they both seem to be very popular. They also have the same amount of likes, but there's something wrong with one of them. She must be hiding something. What is it? The girl on the right has a fake bag. The logo on it looks like that of Chanel, but it's written Gucci underneath. Marcel was driving along a dangerous mountain road. Suddenly, he saw a man sitting on the side of the road and stopped. It turned out the man hadn't managed to control his car. It fell off the road and the man got thrown out of the window. And now, his very expensive car was beyond repair.
Could you be my witness when I prepare the documents for my insurance company?
The man asked Marcel. The guy agreed, but asked the man to show him what was inside the car. The man took the key out of his pocket and unlocked the damaged vehicle. "I won't take part in this fraud," Marcel said. Why did he think the man was lying? If the man had been thrown out of the car, the key would still be in the ignition. Dylan and Susan had been happily married for 10 years. One day, Dylan went on a business trip. When he returned, Susan immediately understood that the man wasn't her husband. How did she figure it out? Dylan always wore his wedding ring. If you were attentive, you must have noticed it on his finger. But the man who returned to Susan didn't have the wedding ring. The police found out that a smuggler was going to leave the country through the largest airport in the city. A detective arrived there and detained 3 people who looked suspicious. Look at them and try to figure out who the smuggler is. It's the third passenger. His suitcase is full of totally random stuff. Women's shoes, some random socks, a pair of old dirty jeans, and even a wig. Plus, when closed, the suitcase looks much larger than when it's open. Sarah's husband, Michel, was a professional cyclist. He was about to have a challenging cycling tournament. "I promise I'll bring you the bouquet they give to the winner," Michel told Sarah. 4 hours later, he came back with beautiful flowers. But Sarah realized right away that Michel hadn't won the tournament. How did she figure it out? Those flowers are actually from Sarah's garden. The same flowers are growing next to their house. Look at these people. The man is in the hospital. He's lost his memory. And these two women both claim to be his partner. One of them is obviously lying, but which one? The woman on the left is lying. If they were married, they would have wedding rings on their fingers. Now, there are these three people. One of them is lying. Who is it? Look at this woman claiming that she's pregnant. See that Adam's apple? It's a man. He can't be pregnant. Look at these people. Can you figure out who's a vampire? It's this man. See those fangs? Creepy. Which of these girls is the man's wife? It's the girl on the right. She's wearing a necklace saying Kate, and the man has a tattoo with the same name on his arm. A store security guard stopped a man who was leaving a clothing store. "The sales assistant claims you've stolen a pair of expensive gloves."
These are my gloves. I've had them for ages.
But the security guard immediately understood the man was lying. How? The man wouldn't be able to use these gloves. They're both for the same hand. Rachel reached the final of a game show. In the last round, she could win a gold bar, but only if she managed to get it. One of the bars was in a container with boiling hot water. The jar containing the second bar was filled with strong acid. And in the third jar, there were venomous scorpions. Which container should Rachel choose? The woman just needs to wait until the water in the first jar cools down and take the gold bar. Detective Adams came to a park to have lunch in the sun, but his attention was drawn by three men running around a fountain. Each of them was shouting, "Thief! Catch the thief!" The detective was confused. Who was the real thief? That's why he just kept watching. After some time, the distance between the men shortened. Detective Adams immediately realized who the real thief was. Can you figure it out too? If the third man was the thief, the second one would only have to turn around to catch him. The same goes for the second man, which means the man running the first is the criminal. If it rains at midnight, can you expect that in 72 hours it will be sunny? No way! In 72 hours, it's gonna be night again. Can you crack this rebus puzzle?
That's right, it means accelerate.